My family is upset with my husband, and I'm stuck in the middle.
Not a good place to be stuck.
Oh, God. So today, me, 28 female, my husband, 33, and my 3 kids, 2 female, 4 male, and 7 male, and my brother, 28, sister-in-law, mom, and dad were at a late lunch, early dinner. My 7-year-old son, let's say Bruce, asked for another piece of bread and then didn't eat it. My husband got upset about him wasting food and said, "You literally asked for it, so you're going to eat it.
Eat that bread, son.
Eat it." My son, who's really emotional, starts crying. So my sister-in-law, Becca, tried to calm him and said, "It's fine, Bruce. I'll eat the bread so it won't go to waste." I could tell my husband got more upset, but I asked him to please just let it go. By the way, this comes from Striking Garlic 97 on the r/Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So we ordered our food and everything was fine. Bruce ordered a child's steak and fries with a side of fruits, and my other 2 kids got a hamburger and chicken fingers. W protein. Bruce got his food and was eating fine except the steak. He tried it, but I could tell that he didn't like it. My husband was getting upset again because he once again was wasting food. I tried to offer him some of his sister's chicken. He said no. So Becca offered him some of her food. He said no. He said no, thank you. My husband was getting upset again, but only at Bruce. My 4-year-old and 2-year-old were also, as he says, wasting food because they were only eating fries and fruit. I got done with my food and went to the bathroom. I was gone for maybe 5 minutes. When I came back, my husband was gone and Bruce was crying and Becca was holding him. My dad and mom were also upset. I looked around and said, "I literally went to pee. What could have possibly happened in 5 minutes?" My mom then explained that my husband started hounding on Bruce for wasting food. Becca and my dad spoke up, telling Bruce that it was okay. He ate the rest of the food. As long as he was full, it was okay. By the way, I tasted the steak and it was indeed bland and dry. So my husband then slammed his wallet on the table and walked out to the car. I was trying to calm everyone, but I could feel tears in my eyes, so I was trying to hide my face. My husband was texting me from the car to pay for our food and get away from them, and our kids are not going to go with them. My dad ended up paying for everyone, and I thanked him and told him I was sorry for my husband's behavior. I grabbed my kids, who were all crying because they were told we were going to spend the day with my parents, and I took them to the car. My mom tried to come over and get the kids, but I waved her away because I knew it would just make things worse for everyone. I did feel bad about doing that, but I didn't want her and my husband to argue. I feel like, I don't know, it was all so stupid. My husband feels like my dad was telling our kids not to listen to their parents, but I know sometimes my husband can get irrationally angry. I don't know what really went down because, well, I had to pee. Forgive a girl for trying to take a piss. But I haven't really been speaking to anyone since I got home. I sent my kids to go swimming with their cousins, and I've just been silent towards my husband. I don't really know what to do because ultimately I feel like it was my fault all this happened. Incorrect. I mean, what say you, Sam? Is this all OP's fault?
I mean, wasn't she the one that was yelling at the kid to not eat his steak? Wait, no, it was the father.
Yep. So OP says, my husband didn't want to go, but I asked him if he would please spend the day with me and my family. Well, lesson learned, I guess. I feel like I can't have my family and my husband. It's one or the other, and they're always putting me in the middle to choose. My husband is a wiener, and honestly, so is my dad. They fight and leave me there to choose a side when I really want to tell them they're both being wienerheads and putting a strain on me and my kids. Meanwhile, my mom is super sensitive as well and starts with her backhanded apologies. Like, I'm sorry this happened, but it's no one's fault except your husband's. I don't know, they're all driving me insane. If I go with my husband, I'm a bad daughter and mother because I took their grandkids away. If I side with my parents, I'm a horrible wife who didn't stick up for her husband. Like I said, it's all very stupid to me, and I can't talk to them because no one will listen. Like I said, I feel like I'm stuck and have literally no one to turn to. Thanks for letting me rant. We do have an edit. We do have an update. I'm going to quickly read this edit. There's been a lot of issues with my son getting a steak, apparently. It's not like I let him order a 10-ounce steak and he just threw it away. It was a 3-ounce steak from the children's menu that came with fries and fruit. He went to a steakhouse, and I live in America in the South, so everyone gets steak. On to the update. Last night, after reading some comments, I sat down with my husband and basically told him that I don't agree with my dad for undermining him, but I don't agree with him about getting upset over a $6 steak and free bread. He tried to tell me that he did nothing wrong, but I told him that he might not think so, but everyone in that situation was basically being a wiener, especially in front of the kids. I don't think it was okay at all to make Bruce feel bad for not eating something he didn't like. Plus, it's not like he paid for the food. My dad did, so it's not like it was his money that was wasted. I told him that he was going to have to go to anger management or we need some serious marriage counseling, but I know in my heart that this is something that's not going to happen.
Well, I feel like that's like a relationship ender right there, right?
Yeah.
Because it's something that was interesting about what she said earlier was it wasn't that my husband's a wiener sometimes. It was my husband is a wiener.
Ooh.
And I think there's a difference between being a wiener by night or being a wiener in certain situations, and being a 24/7 wiener.
We've all been a wiener.
We've all been let someone throw a wiener at the man who has never been a wiener, right?
We all moonlight as wieners.
We all moonlight as wieners sometimes, but to be a wiener in someone's eyes 24/7, to identify them as a wiener, I think that is a sign that there's a problem in the relationship.
So, Opie says, I told him I needed a partner in my life, not another angry a-hole that has to control everything. I grew up with a life like that, and I'm not putting my kids through it. I was tired of everyone walking on eggshells because he can't control his emotions, and our kids shouldn't have to live like that at all, especially at such a young age. I said something was broken inside of him that really needed to be fixed, that I couldn't be the one to fix it while trying to keep our kids from growing up to be like him. He started to cry after I said that. I know it was harsh. I told him I loved him and I just wanted him to be the guy I fell in love with and used to have fun with. I told him not to contact me unless it was about our kids.
Whoa.
OP has gone from 0 to 100.
I don't know. I feel like I would have backed off at the cry. I would have been like, I feel like the cry is like maybe there's a window of change that could happen.
So I needed him to take a step back and really look at himself and see if this is really the man he wants to be. I said I also needed to work on myself and learn to speak up more and try to be the mother I really want to be. I was tired of being a doormat and being afraid to say something to him just because I didn't want to set him off. I was refusing to live like that and shouldn't have to. I'm going to stay at my parents' house for a while until I figure out what to do. My parents are currently staying with my Nana because she lost her husband a month ago. I have talked to them before going there about undermining parenting, and they have to be the grandparents, not the parents, and they both agreed.
That's fair.
This is good. Bruce is also going to stay with his stepmother until school starts, just to get away from everybody for a while. So Bruce isn't biologically my husband's, but has been in his life since he was 2 years old. My ex is currently deployed. They live 5 hours away from us, so Bruce stays with me most of the time and spends most of his summer and fall back with his dad and stepmom.
Ooh, that changes things.
Yep.
Holy moly guacamole. You're seeing what I'm seeing, right? What are you seeing?
I'm seeing it. Hey, why are we singling out Bruce? Because that's not my kid. Husband's words, not mine.
Yeah, dude,
Husband's words,
that
not
changes things.
He's finding excuses and reasons to punish this poor, sweet, innocent boy.
Yes, because what? Because it represents a past relationship or whatever. Yeah, dude. Yeah. That is so crazy how a sentence just changes everything.
One detail.
You really buried the lead, OP. Jeez.
By the way, you want to talk about getting buried? I'm talking absolutely suffocated.
I want to get suffocated. Choke me, daddy.
We have 2,800 episodes for you to shove so far down your ear holes, you might not come back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or your favorite podcast app and you search OK Storytime, you will find our entire catalog. Literally, you can binge it till the day that you do not breathe anymore.
That's true.
Please check it out. But
please do.
Before we get into this final piece in the story, I think we actually got a little juice left.
Squeeze that
Sam,
juice.
some closing thoughts, especially with this.
I said my thoughts. You thought the thoughts right of my thinker.
There it is. We've thunked the thoughts out the thonk.
The thonker.
And now we're going to get back into it. So I'm also planning on some therapy for Bruce. He has a lot of anxiety and emotional distress that I know he needs help with. I love my kids, and I haven't been a good mother by staying with someone who treats them badly. I saw my mother go through it, and I don't know why it took me so long to realize my kids are going through the same things I did when I was a child. It messed up my head, and I've accepted bad behavior because I think that's what normal is. I don't want my kids to think the same things. That's really all I have for now. If something else dramatic happens, I will update again. I just want to do good by my babies, and I appreciate you all for basically slapping me back into reality. I appreciate you all for basically bringing me back into reality. Thank you, and goodbye for now. And that's it. So hopefully we can assume that there was not a drama-filled update, and she basically figured out what the next chapter of her life was and was able to do so in a amicable.
Yeah, no, it seems like she's turning over a new leaf.
Yeah.
We love to see it. We love to be it. My husband stood up for me, but my family didn't like his tone. My husband, 28 male, and I, 27 female, have been together for almost 10 years and married for 4 years. Not long after we got married, we started raising cows.
As one does.
On my family's land that has gone unused for years. I love that.
This is great.
We don't pay rent, but we maintain the equipment, own all the cows, always ask for permission when doing things, and have invested our own money into improving the property. By the way, this comes from JJ Farmer, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, this past Memorial Day, the first cow we ever bought, 10 female. Given the ages of the cows.
The age and gender of the cow is the greatest thing I've ever read in a Reddit story ever.
The one who started it all went aggressive on me when tagging her calf. It was completely out of character for her. She was fine 1 minute, and the next, she was on top of me. I was lucky to escape with a broken jaw, a broken nose, a concussion, and scrapes and bruises on my legs. My poor sister and husband had to watch, but without them, I probably would be in a critical state. For some context, my family is/was incredibly close. In the past, we've had issues with them being overly controlling/codependent, and my husband was the one who finally gave me the strength to set clear boundaries with them. Boundaries are what allow us to love more. Never forget. Don't allow people to walk all over you, because then you can't love them as good.
That's right.
While I love him very much, he also does have a tendency to stick his foot in his mouth. He isn't being mean, but sometimes he says things to be kidding or even helpful, but they just come out the wrong way. In our own lives, we have an agreement that if either one says something to hurt the other, we always say so in the moment and work through it. So my family does not do that. I learned to bottle things up, hold it in, until the smallest thing causes a massive blowout and everyone is mad. I think you can see where this is going. After we got back from the ER, from the cow stampede that happened, let's not forget that OP just got absolutely obliterated by Bessie.
Like critical condition.
Critical. My husband went to visit my parents to update them on my condition and hopefully make them feel better. When he got there, my mother was screaming that we needed to sell the whole herd and start over, that we should stop farming, and that it wasn't worth it. My dad said we were lucky that he didn't pew-pew the cow that hurt me while we were at the ER, and if my husband didn't do it, he would. My husband, in the heat of the moment, said, well, it's a good thing they aren't your cows. Boom, game, set, match.
It's not too bad.
Not too bad. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like the parents are going like, but they're just being protective of their daughter. And I feel like the most emotionally mature thing that OP's husband could have done would be like, hey, I understand that we're mad, but let's not make any rash decisions. We can talk about the cows later if it comes to that. And it probably would have died down. They probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
And then like when OP's wife, gets better or can talk or whatever, they could have come to a more chill conclusion. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. The worst part is we both knew my parents were upset, but we had no idea how mad they truly were. Every time I've gone there, they've been nothing but smiles and supportive. But according to my sister, things are taking a turn. Apparently, both my parents and my brother want to have an intervention/private talk with me about my husband's behavior, and I don't know what to do.
Oh.
On the one hand, I know my family well enough that they will take the smallest slight and turn it into a huge argument. I am literally the counselor for both my siblings when this happens between them and my parents. My sister and I have both been in professional counseling because of the issues with our parents. In my eyes, my husband is a good man who said some hurtful things in a stressful situation, which I think is
Fair assessment.
a fair assessment. Yeah. I see both sides. What he said was disrespectful. Agreed. But it was not my family's place to tell us that we need to throw everything away we've worked so hard for because of a freak accident. Also true.
Yes.
As far as his hurtful comments, it's something we're working on together. We all have flaws, and this is his. He is the most loving, caring, and thoughtful person I have ever met. So to be caught between him and my family is gut-wrenching. I don't know what to do. So, am I the a-hole for standing by him and agreeing with his statement? We got some relevant comments. We got an update.
Oh!
Yeah, you heard right.
Are you telling me there's more?
There is more. But yeah, what do you think? Is OP the a-hole for standing by the husband?
Well, I would like to read, if you scroll up a little bit, Riley, Leah's comment in the chat. Cal was protecting her baby. OP's parents are protecting theirs. Every creature overreacts when they think that their baby is hurt, which I think is a very poetic way of saying it's exactly what Opie said. Yes, every emotions are high. It's very understandable on both sides what has happened here.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't think you're the a-hole for standing by your husband at all. I think you should.
Yeah.
I think maybe what you could do in this situation, because the parents are asking for an intervention for the husband.
Yeah.
Right? And OP's like, I think what OP could say instead of I'm standing by my husband is more like, hey, saying what you just said, hey, let's have a sit down talk. What he said was disrespectful, but emotions were high, right? You don't have a place to say what we do with our cows. So let's lower all of this tension right here. But we got some comments.
Oh,
and we got some updates. So comment 1, not the a-hole. Although what the cow did was horrible, and I'm so sorry that happened to you. You and your husband worked very hard on that farm. Animals are weird sometimes, and the cow that punted you off your farming career doesn't deserve to pass away because of an accident. What your husband said was hurtful, but the core message is completely rational, and you were absolutely not the a-hole for agreeing with him. OP says exactly. For humans or other animals, when we see our babies in pain, we don't know what's going on. That can cause in the moment an out of character response. Mama just trying to protect her baby, and it's most likely just a fluke. She is the first at the end of the day and isn't used to seeing babies tagged, so she doesn't know what it is, opposed to other cows who have grown up in a herd seeing each other get tagged and nothing bad happens. The best response would be to say, I understand y'all are worried for your daughter. Let's freaking go. This is the best response.
Yeah.
And this comes from a place of concern and talks hearts, but this was a freak accident and we were learning how to take better precautions in the future, but we can't just throw our whole life away and start over, or something along those lines. But just like the parents reacted drastically in the moment, her husband did too, which is human. We often reflect the energy we are given until we learn how to be the bigger person. Not only was he probably emotional about his wife, that farm took so much blood, sweat, and tears that it was probably gut-wrenching to think of giving it all up, let alone the bond they must have with that first cow. Comment 2, not the a-hole. It sounds like your husband has more of a blunt and straight to the point way of communicating and therefore can be seen as a more aggressive type of communication, something I'm accused of, and your family has a more passive and not so direct form of communication. Mix that with your husband wanting his independence for you and him and your family's desire to micromanage and control things, and those differing communication styles and outlooks clash badly. I don't disagree with your husband's stance or what he said. I'd have said the same thing because it's not their decision to make. It's yours and his, and admittedly more yours given what happened than his. Your husband is your partner of choice. Your family is a group of people you're biologically connected to. Sometimes in disagreements, blood and genetics fall second to the one you chose to call and make your family. And edit 1, thank you all so much for your advice. I want to clarify some things because I think in my effort to explain things in an unbiased way, trying to be to not be an unreliable narrator like I see so often in these posts, I neglected to share my own opinion. My opinion is my husband is right. And my parents, while being justified in being afraid/hurt, are in the wrong. I have had issues with codependency in the past, and I was afraid if I leaned too hard one way or the other that I wasn't seeing the issue clearly. I was also trying to acknowledge that while his comments didn't hurt me, that doesn't mean they weren't hurtful. However, now I see that I was doing a disservice to my husband and letting my family's gaslighting cloud my judgment. All your nice comments about how great my husband is, plus those saying I'm making him the bad guy in this post, really make me want to gas him up, lol. This man is my whole world. I've always known he was amazing, but these last few years in particular have really made me realize that he is funny, kind, caring, thoughtful, and my best friend. We do everything together. We're a team. We're human. And while we aren't perfect, we make a point to support the other in times of need. We call it the teeter-totter. When one has a bad day, the other supports them, even if it's just a little bit. I always knew my family was dysfunctional, but it wasn't until I met him that I realized how bad it was. A year into dating, I ended up going no contact to slow contact because my mom blew up at me because I said I wanted to take birth control. I was 18, but I didn't think about the fact that I could just make my own doctor's appointment and was upset we decided to have premarital spicy sleep. I went from making a 1.5 hour round trip every weekend at her request, and if I skipped, I was this terrible daughter who didn't care about her, to a whole semester where the only person I talked to was my sister. Also, if you want to hear more about Old Bessie, you should listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, but I mean, it seems like OP's kind of has the right, like her head screwed on correctly. Like she's supporting the husband, putting boundaries with the family and all that.
Kind of an incredible dynamic. And I will say too, when she was saying the husband, like, oh yeah, he's straightforward, blunt, I was like, okay, is this going to be like, oh, I'm just being an honest kind of guy? But, he just threw a little bit of biting sarcasm on it. But ultimately, I think like their intentions and relationship dynamic is like really, really solid.
Yeah, I do think there could be some apology in order.
I agree.
If you want to smooth things over with your family.
And it's the right thing to do. It's not just keeping the peace.
Yeah. This accident has made me realize some things that I've known the whole time. While I love my family, they suck. When I got out of the hospital, the first thing I wanted to do wasn't to call my mom, but to call my mother-in-law because I knew my mom would somehow make it about herself/the family. My mother-in-law, however, is a normal, caring, and wonderful woman who has welcomed me into their home with open arms. It took me 8 years to finally trust that she actually liked me and that she wasn't faking it. I was convinced that she thought I wasn't good enough for her son and that she secretly hated me, even though she has been nothing but nice. I wonder where I get that from. And edit 2, my husband just came in the kitchen and I immediately apologized for not standing up for him to my parents all these years and for making it seem like I wasn't on his side. He's been reading this thread too. His response was, I accept your apology, but you kind of blindsided me. I just came in here to see your butt. I think we'll be okay.
If that is not the best relationship dynamic,
that's love right there.
That's love.
That's freaking love.
That's love, baby.
Go and look at your partner's butt right now. Go look. Ask for a booty pic.
Some big Bessie booty cheeks.
Get some, get that booty cheek. This is your sign to receive or send a butt. Everyone has a butt, so you should either send a butt or receive a butt or both.
So use it.
Use that butt. Use that butt.
Challenge.
My boyfriend's family trashed our home. I'm not letting them come back.
Don't.
A little backstory. I, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 21 male, moved in together about 8 months ago. We live in a cozy 1-bedroom suite that is the perfect size for the two of us. We've had friends and some family that have stayed with us for a few nights. We've never had any issues. They're all respectful of our space and understand that since I work in healthcare, I like to keep house free of bacteria and germs. Everyone always makes sure to clean up after themselves. By the way, this comes from Affectionate Son 7831 on the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit. So if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit and submit them there. We've always enjoyed having guests and hosting people for dinners. We have never had any issues with ever having house guests until his family came to town for Easter weekend. My boyfriend and I spent all week preparing for his family to come, making sure the house was stocked up on food and that the house was organized so that it wouldn't be too squishy for everybody. As there was going to be 5 of us, which is more than we've ever had staying at the house.
at one time. His family was supposed to come in Thursday after my boyfriend and I were done with school, and we were up fairly early. I leave at 7 a.m. for work, and my boyfriend has classes at 8 a.m. for school. And then we got a very shocking call when they decided they were going to come a day early and let us know at 5 p.m. that they were on their way. They didn't end up getting in until 2 a.m., which left me extremely tired for work and my boyfriend very tired for school. We didn't mind though, as we were looking forward to having company, and we don't see his family very often as they live in a completely different province. We're in Canada, y'all. 8 hours away. Before I was heading home from work, I got a call from my boyfriend who sounded a little worried. He then informed me that his brother was sick, which we were not made aware of prior to them coming, and his brother had been throwing up the whole morning we were gone. Due to me working in healthcare, I tend to be around people who are very susceptible to sickness, so I had to be very cautious and make sure I wasn't sick before going back to work the following week. We know crap happens, people get sick, so we don't worry about it too much. If I got sick, and we didn't need to worry. It was whatever if it happened. When I got home, my boyfriend and I took his brother up to one of the parks to go play with a frisbee and get some fresh air. While we were at the park, his mom and her boyfriend went to the grocery store, and when they were all done, we all headed back to the house. When we got there, a comment was made that pissed me quite a bit when my boyfriend's mom and her boyfriend started bringing everything in the house and started putting it away. His mom's boyfriend made a comment to me about how we didn't have food in the house for them to make breakfast, and there wasn't much that we had, so they went to the grocery store to pick some stuff up for them to be able to eat. This comment made me quite upset. When I found out they were coming, I had taken bacon out of the freezer. We had eggs in the fridge, cereal in the cupboard, along with pancake mix. And most of all, the day prior, I had spent hours making homemade bagels for everyone to enjoy. It was my grandmother's recipe. The bagels were not at all touched the entire weekend. I ended up having to throw them out as they had gone bad. This made me very angry as I did all this work and it was ignored completely. My boyfriend and I eat fairly healthy, so we don't keep much junk food in the house, which is when I realized that the majority of things his family had bought: chips, chocolate, pizza buns, and lots of soda pop. Everybody has different eating habits, so I didn't mind and just brushed it off, and maybe they didn't like some of the things I had in the house. When Saturday came along, we'd been planning the day prior to leave at 12 o'clock to go to my family's Easter dinner. My family lives about an hour away from where we live, and I have been looking forward all week to go spend Easter with them. My family has many Easter traditions that we keep, one in particular which is very important to us. It's a tradition that started by my grumps, who passed away just before Easter 2022. The morning we're supposed to leave, my boyfriend and I woke up getting ready in our room when he went out to the living room to find that his whole family was still asleep at 11:30. He had gotten them up, but we didn't end up actually getting to leave until 1:30. Made me quite upset, as I was worried I was going to miss out on my family tradition that my boyfriend knows is extremely important to me. My family did hold off, and they waited till we got there. So I sat in the bedroom and read my book for a little bit before we left. When it was time to go, his entire family would not look at me and would not speak to me or listen to me when I talked. And this was made very clear when my boyfriend was on the phone giving directions on where to go. Every time I talked to clarify anything with my boyfriend, his mom said, "She needs to stop talking. I can't hear anything." Not realizing the phone was on speaker and I could hear everything. This made me very upset and caused me to cry halfway on the trip to my parents' house. I even called my mom to talk to her because I felt as if I had done something wrong and needed another opinion. "You didn't do anything wrong, OP." Which she assured me I did not do anything wrong, as I was just enjoying peace and quiet, reading my book, waiting for everyone to get ready. The door had been opened to the bedroom, and anyone who looked in could see that's all I was doing, which, having her tell me that, made me feel much better. When we got to my parents' house, the dinner went very well and everyone was happy. My boyfriend had talked to his mom and let her know that they had upset me on the way there, that I felt as if they were ignoring me and mad at me. After the dinner with my family, my boyfriend and I had gone to the store to get some adult beverages, as it had been a long week, and his family was leaving the next day. We all sat down with a drink and watched a movie together. Midway through the movie, I'd realized my boyfriend's mom had spilled some of her drink on the floor, which she cleaned up. A few moments later, her boyfriend had spilled adult soda down the side of a couch and on our carpet. Ooh. No! Which I had just cleaned prior to them coming to visit. I brushed it off as my boyfriend cleaned it up the next day. Okay. Everything ran fairly smoothly the last day they were here. We enjoyed the day and had lots of fun. When they left Monday, my boyfriend and I decided to clean up the house and go have showers, as we hadn't gotten a shower since Friday, due to there being no hot water because his family showered every morning, draining the hot water tank. When I went to have a shower, I noticed some things were off. I got out of the shower, wrapped up in a towel, and called for my boyfriend. He'd come in. That's when we learned multiple of our shower products were being used without our knowledge. 3 bottles of shampoo and body wash were completely empty. They were half full before they came to visit. A brand new hair mask I had bought was open and half empty, and my expensive shampoo and conditioner that I tucked away prior to them getting there had been taken out of the cabinet, and the bottles were half empty. When we did the math on how much stuff of ours had been used from our shower, it came out to over $100 of our bathroom stuff being used without our knowledge. I was very upset and very angry as many of my skincare products had also been used and one had been spilled, which was also extremely expensive. I'm normally not one to be materialistic, but I was quite upset because after cleaning the house, we had learned many things were spilled all over our blankets. His little brother had snot all over pillows, blankets, our couch, and all the furniture.
Ugh.
And there was something spilled all down the side of our white couch. I had already been very upset, and this was just the cherry on top of the cake. So, am I the a-hole if I never let my boyfriend's family come stay with us again? And yes, my boyfriend knows I'm posting this, and he is also at a loss for what to do and if we should ever invite them back again due to many things being broken, used, or wrecked. So we got an update, John. Got an update on this situation.
Baby boy.
But let me know what is within your head of what you think OP should do in terms of inviting this family back.
So the family's gone now.
Family's gone now.
Right? Thank God. I think we do not invite the family back. And I think just going back to our classic old rule, who's going to be the person that delivers the news? The partner, because that's his family.
My boyfriend and I have talked with his family since this all has happened. We had a nice long conversation, and there were lots of apologies about the bathroom items being used, and we were reimbursed for the products used. We have since set boundaries and let them know the next time they want to visit, we'll either be going there, or if they want to come back to us, they can stay in a hotel or Airbnb, which they agreed with, so everyone can have more space. We have come to a good understanding, and many apologies have been said.
Hey.
By the way, I never want to apologize for saying that you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Podcast app and search OK Story Time. There's another relevant update, and I'm just going to go right into it. My boyfriend had a conversation regarding the things said to me while they were visiting, as I am bad with confronting things like this. An apology was sent to me regarding it all. My boyfriend has been amazing through this all and has been apologizing to me for what has happened. He has made it up to me in many ways, making my favorite dinner, giving me chocolates and flowers. Thank you all for reading my amazing story and for all the amazing suggestions and support. XOXO.
My in-laws are furious over me canceling a babysitting appointment.
That seems like a thing you shouldn't be furious about.
My husband and I have 3 children. One of them has given us grandchildren, which is something I dreamed of and planned for years.
We love a grandbaby. We love them. We love them. We know how absolutely deliriously into grandbabies grandparents are. So, let's see.
Our other 2 are childless, which is fine. They're happy. I read between the lines there. Successfully and have large networks of friends. We are proud of them all. By the way, this comes from Helpful Vast 88. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, our sister-in-law is very connected with his family. His family is a priority in his life. From the beginning, he attempted to integrate us into his family, which we politely declined.
What? Wait. Who integrated him into his family?
I guess I didn't really get... My
Wait,
husband and I
what?
have 3 children. One of them has given us grandchildren.
Wait, so OP was invited into one of their family's family and declined that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is that not crazy? That feels a little... Wait, can you read that sentence again?
I'm kind of confused by who his is. Is it? Because OP goes like, our sister-in-law is very connected with his family. Who's his?
Husband.
Husband. Okay. So husband's family is a priority in his life. From the beginning, husband attempted to integrate us into his family, which we politely declined.
So the sister-in-law's husband.
Our sister-in-law's, I think it's either his sister or his, sibling's sister.
The son-in-law, I think.
Oh,
That's what Sweet Memories is saying.
son-in-law.
The son-in-law is trying to integrate
Oh.
OP into his family's life, and OP's like, nah.
Okay. It's
Right?
yeah. So it's one of OP's kids is married
Grandkids.
and
Okay.
his children, and so I think it's talking about OP's
I see now.
child's husband
Okay.
or partner. You know?
I'm gonna read it back a little
OP's
bit.
child's husband is trying to integrate OP into his like larger family.
Okay,
It
and
seems yes.
And OP's like, nah, I'm chill.
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. So doesn't want to be involved in his child's
Husband's-
in-laws
Yeah.
family.
I'm gonna read it back differently.
That
Yeah.
that feels like, I don't know. I don't like the energy of that.
I don't either. Okay, so our son-in-law is very connected with his family. His family is a priority in his life. From the beginning, he attempted to integrate us into his family, which we politely declined. We have our own traditions, hobbies, and interests, and our own family network. We did not see any reason to give that up and felt that we could coexist peacefully.
Doesn't feel like you're coexisting.
Also, like, I don't think you have to give up your family to participate sometimes in another person's. I don't know.
I give up a weekend probably.
Something feels weird, but maybe I'm wrong here, and please tell me. But something feels weird about this.
In the beginning, the holiday division, vacation times, birthdays, etc., we were challenging, but we, for the most part, overcame that with the time and patience. I should also mention that they live a few hours away, so some traveling is involved when we get to see them. On a couple occasions, our son-in-law became enraged with us over some rather trivial matters. It seems as if he wanted to become the leader in our family, as he seems to be in his, and model us after his family. We try to work things out, but the end result was more sweeping the problem under the rug than really resolving the issue. I think I'm getting a little bit more clarity here. Because he's like, hey, you should come do our thing. We should come do our thing. Don't have Thanksgiving over there. Have Thanksgiving with our family.
Right. He's trying to like basically be clan leader of these multiple families. Like
Yeah.
he's like the trying to be head honcho.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's getting the tribes together.
Yeah, because if you're the son-in-law, you're just like, oh, we're going to my wife's parents' house for, Christmas. It's like, no, I'm
Okay.
getting the wife's parents to come to my house for Christmas.
I guess because he's trying to maybe he's trying. Yeah. I see maybe where the issue is a little bit more now.
Over the years, we have tried to help them out, helping them fence their yard, babysit, home repairs and remodeling, etc. We helped them move across the state from their college town into their first home. This will be important to know later. Once, when they had an emergency in his family, we dropped everything and took time off work using personal vacation time to ensure our grandchildren had care so their parents would not have to be concerned about them, but could focus on what they needed to. I will note that whenever we could use an extra pair of hands to help at times, they are never available due to work, their children's schedules, etc. Good thing he had 2 other kids that don't have children. A few years go by. My husband's health deteriorated and he was forced to retire. At the same time, one of our other children, who was working out of state, decided to sell her house in our city. Due to the lockdowns at the time, there was not much else to do. So we offered to empty her house so we would not have to travel back and forth to take care of it. We spent the entire summer and fall working on that house to get it ready to sell. It gave us something to do at the time when we badly needed a distraction. This also will become important later on. Okay, so it seems like they're putting a lot of time into this house and helping out their daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it the same daughter with the husband? Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm like 100% there.
OP, names would help so
Yeah.
much in this.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm like
You're on board?
pretty on board.
Okay, good. 9 months later, my husband suffered a silent stroke and was hospitalized. As a result, he was given a medication protocol, which caused some odd side effects. Then, the following year, he developed congestive heart failure and was again hospitalized and given more meds to add to his routine. About that time, our daughter's family found a larger home and a better school system. The move was a challenge from the beginning. Significant problems with their old home that had to be resolved before the sale. A vehicle they were counting on suddenly had to be replaced, which made money tight for them. They were under a tremendous amount of stress. They would call to ask for advice, but then reject our advice and make decisions that seem hastily and reckless. They gave us to come watch the kids during the move, so we agreed to do so. During the time leading up to the move date, things kept going wrong for them, which increased their stress. At the same time, my husband began acting more and more erratic. I'll cut to the chase here. He had stopped taking some of his medications, which he should have not done because he didn't like the way they made him feel. I didn't know this at the time, obviously. His behavior became so alarming that I grew concerned about our upcoming trip to see the grandkids. I was worried about how he would act while there, how the stress levels would impact him if he would try to do something he physically should not attempt. I worried that his behavior might scare the grandkids. I worried that if he became really ill while out of town, how I would find help in a city that was so unfamiliar to us, with doctors unfamiliar with his situation.
Which is true. I mean, if you have like different doctors, they don't know the context. They might know the doctor's notes, but like only that doctor's like been inside you, you know?
Yeah.
Only that doctor's really known your body.
Knows the ins and outs.
Knows the ins and outs.
Yeah.
So I think I think it is important to make
Yeah.
sure that the same doctor is looking at you.
This is pretty, life alarming kind of things you need to be aware of. So about 2 to 3 weeks out, when his behavior grew worse and the stress levels increased, I called our daughter and canceled our plans to babysit due to my husband's health. Seems reasonable, right? I explained the situation so they would understand the decision was not made lightly. They detonated. They called us out on social media for breaking a promise, posting cute photos of the baby, who we didn't want to watch, and begging for a stand-in. Our daughter called me and screamed at me over another problem they had with the move, blaming us for another problem that happened even though it happened before we could have been there anyways. The day of the move, everything that could have gone wrong did. I was glad we were not there because it was so intense and we felt so much of it could have been avoided. For months after the move, they refused to speak to us. We reached out from time to time. Finally, they agreed to a teleconference. We were subjected to a lecture about what uncaring grandparents we were, how we should want to spend time with their kids, how families should always be there for each other.
I mean, I do agree that there's like some level of participation that the grandparents should have, but I don't know. I understand like with all that's going on with the grandparents, with like all these medical issues, like it might not be possible to.
Also, why would you want your kids to be watched by someone who's having like medical issues and, it might not be that reliable?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think seems like the kids had a lot of expectations for the parents, and they were not met, and now they're just like,
Yeah, I feel, but I do feel like it just seems like there's resistance to just be involved in general, even if there wasn't these medical issues. Like they were resistant to be involved beforehand.
Yeah, they dredged up a painful time from my past and used it to taunt me. They accused us of breaking our promise to them. They cited the fact that we should help a sibling move, but weren't willing to do that for them. We had already helped them move once, remember? They felt we owed them since we helped a sibling. They feel certain that they will be the only ones to give us grandkids and that they deserve special consideration for that. Then they weaponize their kids against us, threatening to never let us see them again if this is how we were going to behave. In all fairness, I also said some things I should not have. I shared that I felt as if everything was designed to cater to his family, who, I will point out, did not help with the move. They had already made other plans for that weekend. I shared that I was pretty freaked out by my husband's behavior and what had happened. At no time did they express any concerns about his health.
I mean, it's a medical emergency. I feel like there should be some concern about health. Yeah,
no empathy at all on either sides. And two, wouldn't the parents have told these kids, hey, your dad's kind of going a little downhill.
Yeah.
He had a silent stroke. Like, wouldn't they see these updates?
You should give a little bit of a license, for that. You should give a little bit of space, which is not what is happening at all.
Yeah, no. They called back the next day to talk over a few things. They calmed down a bit by then and even offered a sorry. We didn't mean to hurt anyone apology. But then their husband insisted that we needed to show some respect to them if we expected them to respect us. That, plus the threat to not allow us to see the grandkids, made me feel that we would just be continuing the cycle of not resolving the real problem. At this point, I went low contact with him. you never should go low contact with us. So we have stories just like this all day long on your favorite podcast platform. Just search up OK Storytime on Apple, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, and we'll have them there for you.
Amen, brother.
We have a little bit left. Basamo, any thoughts on this?
I mean, I think the grandparents aren't given enough space for these medical emergencies that they're experiencing, but I also still feel like there is some resistance, even before all this stuff happened, to be involved in this son-in-law's life.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm wondering, there's some kind of animosity that already existed before all this happened. So
I feel like if we were there and had dinner with them, with everyone,
yeah, we would know.
We would pick
what
up the
dynamic
vibe.
is. Yeah, I feel like I don't have enough understanding of the vibe. Chibi Lee says, kind of sounds like OP's family is being made the scapegoat of all their problems because of son-in-law. Kim Roberts says, my heart is breaking for OP.
Yeah.
And then Wrestling Mama says, why should they be concerned about his health? They need to help moving. Dad needs to get it together. And the audacity of dad to get sick when they need help moving.
Yeah. Come
And
on.
being
I read that initially
like,
as like, what? Sarcasm from Wrestling Mama.
I
Thank
do
you.
have sarcasm, Wrestling Mama.
Yeah, I do think like I think the son-in-law is pressing way too much, but I do think there's some animosity that the grandparents already had before this. So I'm curious where that's coming
The
from.
part where she said, I said some things I shouldn't have said, but didn't say what she said, that rubbed me the wrong way. She like admitted she did something wrong, but then right back onto like what her daughter was doing wrong.
Yeah, but let's see how the rest of the story pans out.
It's been a couple of years since this happened. Wow. My husband, who feels differently than I do, has traveled to see them a few times. I believe this is a part of the problem, but he is entitled to his own opinion, and it has kept the lines of communication a bit open. During this time, my mother became very ill, and it became harder for me to travel in case she had an emergency. She passed away recently, and they did not express any sympathy or sense of loss for her. Not even a card or call. My husband's trips will become more difficult soon, as he had friends with family between here and there and was often able to catch a ride, so he didn't have to make the trip alone. They have since moved, so he will have to make future trips by himself unless I go along. Part of me would like to reach out again and offer an olive branch, but another part of me says they are not ready yet and to wait. Am I the a-hole for, I guess, waiting?
I don't know. There's like elements of the story where I feel like there might be a holishness, but I don't think I have enough context on.
I think that it's interesting that OP's husband, who was kind of like the catalyst of them not, all these problems, because it was not purposely, but because his medical problems, and he's still willing to go see them. So I'm wondering why they have differing opinions.
Yeah.
Even though, like, if anything, he was kind of more affected because he was experiencing the medical problem.
It feels like there's missing information here. But I would love to know what you guys think. Often we're wrong. So just let us know what you guys think.
I don't want my mom to bring her dogs on vacation. Now she's upset.
Get those dogs out of here.
My mom has 2 half Yorkie, half Maltese dogs. These dogs are my mom's world. The problem is they're obsessed with food. They will go to any lengths to get human food. It started with a bag of barbecue potato chips on my kitchen counter, ripped open and devoured, leaving a huge barbecue dust mess. By the way, this comes from Parking Ratio 155. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Next time was an entire pizza that was snatched off the table the moment I went to grab sodas from the kitchen.
Those dogs.
In the span of less than a minute, when I returned, half the pizza was gone. The dogs were standing in the other half of the pizza, and there was pizza sauce all over my carpet. Next get together, they found their way inside, even though I asked my mom to keep them in the backyard. They got into my kitchen and tore open 2 bags of my hamburger buns and ate about $40 worth of seasoned raw hamburger meat and a block of cheddar cheese.
Those dogs must be fat as heck.
Dude.
Those are some chonker dogs.
Holy.
I also love how they're a team. It's like Bonnie and
Yeah,
Clyde.
yeah.
Like they're breaking into all these things.
Golly. So at this point, I told my mother her dogs were not allowed in my home.
These dogs must be freaking rolling to this
Dude.
food.
Food demons. Just God. She has stopped coming by altogether, which does hurt my feelings because if it's a choice between her kid and the dogs, she will always pick the dogs.
Wait, her own child?
Yes. Who is OP? I'm planning a family vacation. Booked a nice cabin for the whole family to stay in. My sister is bringing her dog, well-behaved family pit. So I know it's going to be an issue when I tell my mom her dogs are not allowed to come with us. I don't want to spend the whole weekend making sure not a single scrap of food is left out for even a second. Dude. Otherwise, her dogs will tear it apart and potentially make a huge mess in the cabin that I paid the deposit on. My sister told me to just tell my mom that she has to keep a close eye on the dogs, but I have tried that before, and she has proven time and time again that she's either unable or unwilling to control her dog's behavior.
I don't know. Like, I feel like we kind of got like a situation of a normal human person and just like high IQ dastardly dogs that they are like the Houdini of stealing food.
Yeah.
You know,
Heat-seeking pups.
Heat-seeking pups going
Just
directly to wherever there's some hamburgers to knob on.
Yeah. Would I be the a-hole if I tell my mom her food-crazed dogs are not allowed on family vacation, even though another dog will be there? We have some relevant comments, but let's quickly answer the question. Would OP be the a-hole?
I think these dogs have proven themselves to be absolute just like menaces. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I would almost set a dog ultimatum. It's like, hey, if you come to this thing and these dogs eat my food, you cannot bring them anymore. I feel like you kind of have to like set the boundary in that way.
Even for the good dog, the innocent pup.
Yeah, even for the like for all dogs that, but
right.
but honestly, it happened so many times. I wouldn't fault OP for being like, your dogs have ruined every kind of dinner I've ever tried to put together.
Yeah,
they have eaten full pizzas that are big enough for 4 grown men, let alone 2 tiny little Shih Tzu dogs.
they were Shih Tzuing all right after that pizza.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
were,
that.
dude. After all that raw hamburger meat.
That's protein.
Would you ban those dogs?
Yeah, but I do think you brought up a good point of like, do you ban all dogs to make it fair and equal? The problem is it's her dogs that are the problem. Like, if we're being real here, it's like, hey, I would love to have your dogs in if they didn't suck every molecule of food in a 1 mile radius that they have access to. That would be awesome. But no, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
But Opie has a comment. Opie says, my mom has bragged that her dogs ate half a box of chocolate-covered cordial cherries and didn't get sick. I'm worried she thinks that they can't get sick. Another comment, info, crate the dogs when food is in play, ? And Opie says, mom will either have a temper tantrum about her dogs being crated, let them out, or both. Comment number 3 says, not the a-hole, but just say no dogs to avoid hurt feelings. Is that an option? Opie says, so my sister's dog, Lola, the beautiful Pitty, gets pretty horrible separation anxiety. Last time my sister left her at a kennel, she was banned from the establishment for her behavior problems. Other than that, she's a saint. I don't want her to be punished because of my mom's dog's behavior. And we have the update.
Hit me with the update, Johnny.
Let's go. So, packing up at the end of vacation, a few of you asked me to update on what happened. I don't know how to copy links, so I guess click on my profile to read the old post. I don't know how Reddit works. Y'all are smart enough to figure it out. Took the cowards way out and asked my dad to break it to her that her dogs weren't invited. He wasn't happy about it, but he said he gets it. Then he told me some mildly disturbing stuff that he was just laughing off.
Like what?
Like what? They had a locked bread box for pastries on the counter that had been chewed to pieces in order to get to the cinnamon rolls inside. So just to clarify, ladies and gentlemen, they purchased a locked like bread box device to lock the pastries in safety, but it did not stand a chance.
You know what, screw it. I love these dogs. These dogs are crazy. These dogs are psycho. They're psycho. Like,
wow.
It's like they're not being fed, but you know they're being fed on top of this.
100%.
These are lethal, intelligent, never like dogs with a never-ending hunger.
And showed me a picture of the bottom of their fridge that had been extensively chewed, like the dogs were desperately biting and clawing to get inside.
Oh my God.
He stated he loved the dogs too, but could understand why someone wouldn't want them around during the vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
insane.
Wow. Oh my God. Now, Dad reported Mom took it well, and the dogs would stay over at the neighbors who they are good friends with.
Okay.
I was relieved.
It's too quiet. I don't believe it.
Everyone showed up and started unpacking, except my mom, who said my dad was tying things up at the house and that she would be by later. Mom didn't show up that night, and I missed her. The next day, Mom did show up, as many commenters suspected, brought her dogs with her. So I tried to play it off as nothing, giving out hugs and smiles, but I was upset. I also tried to play it cool, but I told her that her dogs were not to enter the cabin and they could not stay the night. She waved me off. Yeah, okay, I get it. It was fine for a few hours, but then I noticed some dirty napkins were floating around in the breeze.
No, they sensed it.
The little rags, you know, the little remnants of their...
Oh, no, so they've already done something. Oh, no.
Maybe. I discovered that the garbage bag we had tied to the picnic table had the bottom ripped out, and paper plates had been shredded and licked clean. Oh my God.
These dogs are crazy. Dude, I'm dying.
This is I mean, at this point, we might have to like put them in some sort of like Stranger Things superhero lab and just study them, because
yeah, what are these things? The Tasmanian devils. I mean, like, put some muzzles on these things or something.
Like,
They would eat them.
They would.
that part.
Oh.
They would eat them. They're like, this is leather.
Like, all right, I think, yes, the mom needs to control her dogs, but also these dogs seem like uncontrollable. They ate through a locked bread box. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like it's hard to get through.
They almost ate through a refrigerator. Just
yeah,
just
a metal freaking refrigerator. These dogs are super dogs.
wow. So I cleaned up the mess, furious, and confronted my mother and told her this is exactly why her dogs weren't invited. My mom tried to blame my sister's dog for the mess. You didn't see what happened. It could have been her. I told her that there was no way I would blame Lola for the mess since her dogs are known for doing this kind of thing. My mom cleaned up and just said, fine, I will just take them home, and left with the dogs. By the way, if you don't want to leave us ever for the rest of your life, you can go to Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever you get your podcast, search OK Storytime, and listen to 2,800 episodes of awesomeness.
Truth.
But we have we've got a lot left to go. This is a juicy ending. Okay.
Hit it.
My dad wasn't happy after that, saying I didn't have any proof and I went too hard on her. My uncle thought it was funny, and he said he was glad to not have those little beasters trying to steal his hot dog. It just put a damper on the whole trip. I just feel like an idiot for trying to make this work in the first place. I miss my mom, and I wanted to make family memories, but it really does feel like the dogs and my mom are a package deal now, and asking her to leave them even for a short time was never an option. A lot of people said this in the comments. I don't think I was ready to hear it yet. Thanks for being so responsive, and the comments really did help me see the reality of the situation that I'm in.
Ban those dogs. Those dogs are absolutely just like spawns of Satan.
Mm-hmm.
I refused to walk my daughter down the aisle because I'm not her real father.
And you are not the father.
My daughter, 26 female, and I haven't spoken in years. When she was 15, we found out she wasn't my biological daughter, and my wife had cheated on me years ago with a friend. By the way, this comes from user Her Wedding Day, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I am Riley.
And I'm Angie. And we're here to give you good advice, goofily. But we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So if you would do something different, well, you just let us know in them there comments. As it turns out, this so-called friend was suddenly interested in playing dad. My wife and I divorced. My daughter learned the truth, and I told her I still loved her no matter what. Of course, she was interested now in getting to know her biological father, and while it hurt, I tried to accept that. She started pulling away from me after that. Even when trying to still do things together as a family, she was no longer interested. The last straw was when she was 20 and living at my house. We were arguing because she had dropped from her college courses, hadn't done anything for 3 months, and was mad because I told her she either needed to go to school or work if she wanted to stay here for free. She told me I'm not her real dad, so stop pretending like I am, and she'd just go stay with her real father. That broke me, honestly. But I told her if that's how she really feels, then there's really nothing left to say between us. And she did go move out to live with him. I was depressed for a very long time and drank way too much. My son, 24 male, was my only reason to keep moving forward. For the first couple of years, I reached out to my daughter. She wanted no contact, so I learned to accept that and move on. It helped me find more peace in my life. My son stopped talking to her for a while over this and was angry with her. They still chat sometimes, which doesn't bother me at all. Through him, I learned her biological father passed away in October of 2019, and also that she's engaged. She reached out to me, first saying that she knows that we haven't talked in a while, but she wants to ask me if I'd be willing to walk her down the aisle. After a pretty long message about how much she hurt me in the past with her actions, I told her no. She didn't want me to be her father anymore, so I learned to no longer view her as my daughter. This turned into a fight between us because, according to her, it's not her fault she wanted to know her real dad. And I agreed with her that it's not, but what was her fault was how she treated me ever since. In my mind, I know if he hadn't passed, we wouldn't even be speaking right now. It ended with me telling her I hope she enjoys her wedding, but I want no part of it or her life. My son told me that she's ranting to my family that I'm ruining her day and that she thought parents are supposed to love their kids unconditionally, but he's not your dad. My brothers now seem to think that I'm being an a-hole and that this is my chance to be in her life again. But I have no interest in that. Still, everyone seems to have a strong opinion that I'm making it difficult for my daughter to have the wedding she wants when it would mean a lot to her. My son is on my side, but the comments are still wearing me down, and just for the sake of my sanity, am I being an a-hole? There are some comments here. A downvoted comment says, you're the a-hole. I'm sorry about what you've been through, but I think you're going to regret this. Your daughter was just a kid when she found out you weren't her biological father. And while you've been through it, the whole thing must have messed with her head in ways you can't even imagine. The exchange you had when she was 20 and you told her to get a job and she cut contact is actually something that happens to a lot of biological parents. So as unpleasant and unreasonable as her behavior was, it's not particularly unusual, and reconciliation is possible. Does she have a responsibility now that she's older and wiser to put all that angst and confusion behind her and handle the situation like an adult? Yes, and that's what she's trying to do.
She could have done that before her dad, her real dad, died.
And she could, yeah, it is what it is. Opie says, reconciliation is not something I want anymore. I've made peace with my life for the first time since this whole thing came out. Commenter 1, not the a-hole. She decided that you're not her father in any capacity. You've respected that. Now that the other guy is gone, she doesn't get to change the rules. She doesn't want you. She wants someone to play a part. Maybe your son could be the one to give her away instead. OP says, maybe, but he's already said he's not going to the wedding. Not because of just this. He just doesn't want to. I don't know what his response would be if she asked him. They're not super close, despite talking every now and then. An OP on his son and daughter's relationship, he says they've had their own issues. I've told him many times that I'm more than okay with him still having a relationship with his sister, and he should go to the wedding. OP clarifies on if he spoke with his daughter face to face. OP says the meeting was in person. Even if I felt her apology was genuine, my feelings would remain the same. Trust me, I know how much of a shock it was when she found out. On top of that, divorcing her mom. It's why we had her and my son in therapy for years to help her and us process everything. It's been well over 6 years since she decided she didn't want us to have a relationship. It cuts you deep, and with help from my son as well as therapy, eventually I managed to get by. Finally, I have found peace in my life and don't intend to lose it. And there's an update, and I think the whole moral of this story is that he has like 2 sodas and he just shakes them up.
Oh yeah.
And then he opens one right away and it like explodes and the soda goes everywhere. And it's basically just saying like, when you're like angry and worked up and you say something, once that comes out, you can't really put it back in the bottle. It's too late. And there's an update. Thank you for your support, especially those fellow parents who reached out in my messages. Advice, judgment, and suggestions on what to do about my family. It took sending a mass text to everyone who wouldn't leave me alone about this. It took me some time to think of what to write and clear my head from everything. The reminder of everything that I did over the years to try and be in her life and where that all ended. How detrimental it was to my mental health. They all remember what it was like and how much it put me in a dark place that took lots of therapy and the need to be there for my son to get out of. My brother called me after, and he apologized for the way he had been pushing this. We had a much longer conversation. I told him my decision to remain out of her life was final, so he respected that. Since no one else has said anything, I'm hoping that means everybody else got the message. Best thing someone suggested here was blocking out the others saying things and her. It wasn't doing my mind any good. I spoke to her over the phone to talk about the way she's been behaving online and the others in the family. I apologized for how things happened and wish she didn't have to deal with these life-altering moments at such a young age. She made her choice for the past 6 years just the way I have. Even asked her to be honest with herself and answered, not to me, if her biological father hadn't passed, would we be here right now speaking to each other? But that's fine. It's a question for her to honestly answer for herself, like I did before I told her to enjoy her wedding and hope it's a lovely, healthy marriage. And by the way, it would be lovely if you listen to full episodes with stories like this on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just look up OK Storytime.
Yep.
Just do it. The way that he has gone about this, it's not like he's like vengeful or doing it because it's like, well, that's what you get. He's like, no, I do. I mean, I don't wish ill upon you. I hope that it goes well. I hope you have a good one. I hope your marriage goes well. But I'm just not going to be your dad.
It's sort of, actions have consequences. Your action in choosing this is me withdrawing from your life. And you got to understand that, kid.
Your dad's gone. You backed the wrong horse. So the door to our relationship is closed. I hope she could find peace with that and enjoy her life the way I have. The conversation ended shortly after that. She didn't say if she would stop saying anything about me online, so I just made sure to block her and others on her mom's side of the family to make sure there's no more bothering. This is the peace of mind I needed, and I'm glad to have taken up this advice. And there's some more comments. OP explains more about his daughter's school, the divorce, and his relationship with her. OP says, you want to know why she stopped school? She said it wasn't for her at the time, as she didn't know what to major in. She had changed majors twice at the time. Okay, it's fine. School isn't for everyone, and it's understandable not knowing what you want to do with your life. However, going out with friends or to her mom's and then doing nothing at home isn't an option. I told her if she wanted to keep living here rent-free, as in I would start charging her for rent, not punt her out, then she needed to find a job while she figures out what to do with her life. In regards to the divorce, we had both kids in therapy because obviously at the time, nobody in the family was mentally equipped to do it alone. And she had been in therapy for years after to get used to all this new information, as well as taking the proper steps to slowly introduce her biological dad into her life since she decided that's what she wanted. What makes you think I took a step back from being a father when he started coming around? Did you forget that she lived with me? Exactly. She wanted to get to know him and have a relationship, so we worked to make that happen. What other details would you like to know, rather than making up assumptions about my life?
It seems like he did the practical things to have a nice relationship with his daughter and, his daughter's bio dad. And the other thing he had to navigate, correct me if I'm wrong here, my reading comprehension's a little off on this story. Didn't Opie's wife cheat on him with this guy?
Yeah.
That's also another thing Opie had to navigate, is like, how can I have a relationship with my daughter's bio father that also, was boinking my wife on the side?
I mean, I don't think he was ever going to have a relationship with that guy.
Yeah.
It's more just like,
how do I navigate that with my daughter?
And it's like, yeah, I'll let her do whatever. Like, he did literally everything right. This may not be relevant, but if you're still listed as her father on the birth certificate, please update your will as you would want, or else she could claim a portion of your inheritance. And OP says, sorry, I didn't answer before, but I'm no longer on her birth certificate.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
that's how far they went?
You're not my daughter. I'm not your dad.
Oh my
You tell me I'm not your dad. I'm not your dad. I'm not your dad.
That is insane.
And honestly, if she had maybe come back in a way that was like just maybe even 5%, I actually am concerned about you.
Yeah,
and, I hope you're doing okay.
Any
and,
sympathy
I'm
at
sorry
all
about how this happened, and like it was a mistake. I regret it. Instead, it was just like, well, you're my dad, so don't you want to walk me down the aisle? I know it's been a while, but don't you want to walk me down the aisle?
I know.
And
it's
as
been
soon as you said no, she was like,
OP has gotten more impressions off of this video on every single platform than you, daughter, will ever have. And we are seeing his side. So.
My sister demanded me to move my wedding date because she's pregnant.
Well,
have your baby a little bit faster then.
That's
I don't know.
right. Squeeze it out. I'm in a bit of a weird situation. My fiance and I aren't the most traditional and wanted to have our wedding as more of a family vacation with the bonus of a wedding. My parents have a beautiful lakefront house that we decided to have our wedding at. By the way, this comes from Helen Keller's voice. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm John.
I'm Angie.
I'm Riley.
Purposely did that to her. And we're here to give good advice, Goofly, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So please let us know what you would do in the comments. When we initially were planning our wedding and figuring out dates, I wanted to have it on June 26th. 26th is important to us because that's the day my fiance and I first met. But when speaking over it with my family, my sister said no because she already had a vacation on that date. I was sad, but it wasn't the end of the world, so we decided on June 4th to June 9th. Everything was working out perfectly. I let both of our families know to put our wedding down for those dates and started wedding planning. It was all perfect until last night. I got a FaceTime from my dad who showed me the ultrasound and I was super excited. All of the congratulations, jumping around because I'm going to be an auntie. I am so excited for them and for my future niece or nephew. But it all came crashing down when I asked my sister when she is due and she said, May 1st, so we're going to have to talk about your wedding. I assumed she just meant that she wasn't going to be able to be in attendance. So I told them that it's okay and we can just FaceTime them in, and her jaw dropped. I knew my emotions would get the best of me, so I said we can talk about it later. So we went back to the congratulations and thinking of baby names. After the call, I can't lie, I had a bit of a breakdown. I already moved my dates once to accommodate my sister, which was all fine, and I didn't push back on it. But after 7 months of planning our wedding around this date and having my fiance plan around it, I don't want to change it. Unfortunately, I know my family and they will push for me to move it and will disrespect my decision not to. I know traveling with a newborn baby is going to be hard, which is why I offered up FaceTiming her instead, but it seems like that's offensive to them to not want my sister to be present at the wedding. I feel so insanely guilty about being upset over having to change my wedding dates because my sister is pregnant. She's bringing a beautiful new family member into our lives, but I'm still a bit heartbroken that if I don't change the wedding date, that I will be seen as an inconsiderate a-hole in my family. So it begs the question, am I the a-hole for not wanting to push back my wedding because my sister is pregnant? We got some comments, ladies and gentlemen. So commenter says, not the a-hole, but I'd move back to the 26th because that's the day that matters to you and your fiance.
Exactly.
Now she'll only want to go if she can bring the baby, or she'll probably try and get you to move it even further, saying so she's not traveling with a newborn. Obviously, people are going to be upset no matter what you do or don't do, but all that really matters is you and your fiance, because the moment y'all are married, you're each other's main priorities and no one else should matter when it comes to what you both want. I'm very scared of that since she is going to be a first-time mama and we don't know if she's going to have postpartum depression or PPA, if baby is going to have colic. I'm scared that if I do push back our wedding to August or September and then she still can't make it / wants us to push it back even further, I will resent and distance myself from her. And the commenter says, tell us your sister is the golden child without saying it. Opie says, my sister is the golden child of the family.
Well, you said it.
You said it.
Misunderstood the
God
assignment.
dang it. Not tried to be hidden. She's extremely involved in the family, visits them every weekend while I live across the country, so I only visit them typically once a year, but do FaceTime them regularly. My parents are also very money driven, and my sister is a doctor in comparison to my brother and I, who do trades. She's the definition of the perfect child. She also typically plans all the trips, vacations, or outings for my family because she's extremely type A and likes to control situations.
You don't say.
You don't say. She's a bit stubborn, likes things her way or not at all. We've always just gone with it because it's easier. I expected my wedding to be the line, but I guess not. Commenter, not the a-hole, remind the family that it's not just your family that's being impacted by their push to move the dates, and that those specific dates are the only ones that work for both sides. Then tell them that no, you will not move the dates to accommodate your sister again, since you already did it once. And we have an update. Do we think that they're going to agree? Yeah. 8 days later. So a lot has happened in the past few days. I called my brother the day after I made my post. He understood where I was coming from and told me that I should absolutely not change my wedding date. If only the sister's husband knew where he was coming from, we wouldn't be here in the first place. Since I was worried about speaking to my mom and being ganged up on, we planned when to speak to my mom about not wanting to change my fiance's and my wedding dates so he could be there to talk to her on my behalf if my emotions got the best of me. That didn't happen. My mom called me the next day to talk it over. I informed her that I was not going to change my wedding date. Yes. And she was upset initially, but surprisingly receptive to it. I was extremely happy about that until she said, you need to talk to your sister about that because she's not going to be happy being forced out 1 month postpartum. I explained that I wasn't expecting or forcing her to attend. Then my mom said, no, she's coming to your wedding. I don't care if she's a new mom. After that, I got in a bit of an argument with my mom about her forcing my sister to do something that isn't the best for her and her future family, which ended with me hanging up on her. I don't take being spoken to in a harsh tone easily and will tell the other person to take a minute to reevaluate their tone and come back. During the call, she also let slip that she was extremely disappointed in me for going to my brother for support instead of her and said I was just creating family drama for no reason. But it is what it is. I needed a family perspective, which is why I called my brother. I ended up trying to call my sister the next day, but it was declined, so I texted her and informed her that I would not be changing my wedding date. It was a much longer text explaining reasons and emotions. She replied a day later with, you and I both know that your wedding dates aren't officially set. And the only factor would be communicating the change to your fiance's family. I hope the hassle is worth having my and your literal niece or nephew's presence. I explained that I had already ordered and put the money down on multiple things, as well as having my fiance's family planning and accommodating around this date for 7 months. She was not receptive, in my opinion, and said, there are really no excuses. You have the power to move the date, even just a little later in the summer to include me, and you're choosing not to. That hurts. I ended up responding that I am not choosing to have her at my wedding, but understand she may not be able to come and will have FaceTime in instead. I also explained that I already moved my wedding date once to accommodate her. I asked her to try and put herself in my shoes and how she would have felt if I asked her to push back the wedding. She replied, I would have moved the date in the heartbeat. That's the difference between us. Now, at that point, I decided to offer up pushing it back to the 26th of June, as some comments suggested, to see if she would still be going to her previously planned vacation.
Oh,
Angie's point.
good question. I would love to know.
Right? Thank God I did, because she told me she couldn't do the 26th as she was still going to her vacation 20 days after my wedding. You know how much can change in 20 days, Angie?
How much?
So 20 days before I
Yeah.
can't go to your wedding, that's me. I'm dead to the world.
Exactly.
After 20 days, I am Usain Bolt. I am
Oh,
Michael
yeah.
Phelps.
Yeah.
I am literally doing any triathlon you throw at me.
Right. Oh yeah, I'm going on the longest plane rides.
Yeah.
But guess what though? If you wanted to move your date back, you have to move it back 4 months instead of or what is it? 3 months? What's the difference
Yeah.
between June and September?
Something like
I'll
that.
be going on 5 vacations between then, but I can't go to a wedding because I just had a baby.
I am not the most knowledgeable about babies since I don't have one and have only known my best friend's baby. But I don't feel like there's a huge difference between traveling with a 1-month-old and traveling with a 1.5-month-old. So that solidified in my mind that she doesn't care about me, my fiance, or her feelings, but still expects everyone else to accommodate her. At this point, as per my fiance's advice, I'm putting it in the F it drawer in my head, and I am not going to stress about it anymore because everyone knows the date is set. If my family would like to show up to my wedding, that would be amazing. But if not, I'm not going to be upset. And at the end of the day, this will just show me who to prioritize as a family in my life, because family is not always blood. Update number 2, 10 days later. Everything was as calm and relaxed as could be. My sister hasn't talked to me since the conversation, but I figured she was just pissed off at me and dealing with everything involved with the pregnancy. But getting to the hilarious part of this update, 2 days ago, we get a FaceTime call from my fiance's sister-in-law showing us 2 positive pregnancy tests. She's due the first week of June, aka when our wedding is. My fiance and I did all of the congratulations and excitement, etc., because once again, first grandchild and baby in the family. After the call, my fiance and I just looked at each other and bursted out laughing. His sister-in-law is having the first grandbaby on his side all within the month before or during our wedding. Like, what are the chances? My fiance and I have always had bad luck with planning things, which is why we were planning a relaxed, chill wedding instead of a big, extravagant one. We had a few minutes conversation, and it ended with us agreeing, in my fiance's words, F it. Let's just elope. So that's exactly what we're doing.
Woo.
Like I said, we aren't traditional. And honestly, we were just doing all of this for our family so they could feel included and have a fun time at the lake house. But with all the babies and 9 out of the 14 people invited not being able to attend, my sister and brother-in-law, her mother-in-law and her brother-in-law, my fiance's mom, dad, and little sister and his brother and her sister-in-law, why even have the whole wedding thing? So we're going to the courthouse on June 26th, the date I originally wanted, but wouldn't work with my sister's scheduled vacation, to get married. We're going to keep the photographer that we have a deposit down on and just switch from wedding photos to a couple shoot. We are also still planning on going to the lake house and just taking it as a pre-honeymoon. Ooh, you want to know what is a eternal honeymoon that you'll never leave from? Joining us live on YouTube and Facebook every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. And we're probably live right freaking now. So why don't you just tap into that glorious, eternal, never-ending honeymoon?
Oh, yeah.
Do it forever. We've already let all of our family know the wedding thing is canceled. My side is relieved, and his side is sad because they don't have an opportunity to celebrate us as a couple. But it just wasn't what the universe wanted, and we'll plan something in the next couple of years to get all of our families together and celebrate maybe one of our anniversaries. Honestly, I can't even be upset because it's so comical that one major event we've been planning doesn't work because everyone's getting pregnant and being due around or during our wedding. But at the end of the day, we're getting married and getting some adorable little nieces and nephews. This will be the last update because no more wedding means no more drama. But guess what, Angie?
What?
Opie's right. There is no other update.
Whoa.
And that's the end of the story.
No more drama, dude.
I didn't make my teen sister my maid of honor. Then she got revenge years later.
Dude, this is not the villain arc I was expecting.
I had my sister, 23 female, in my wedding party back in 2017. When my husband and I were getting things in order for choosing people to have in our bridal party, I contacted my sister, 16 at the time, about being part of it, as we are very close. By the way, this comes from Dr. Who Lover, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm John.
I'm Riley.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I explained that I would like for her to be a bridesmaid and not the maid of honor, only due to how young she was and not wanting to stress her in any way, emotionally or financially. I made sure that she was okay with this before contacting the others I wanted to be in the bridal party. My maid of honor planned a bachelorette party for me with a nice dinner followed by an escape room and a private room at a karaoke bar. She had already reserved the room at the bar, and if she canceled, she would not have gotten part of her money back. Another thing to understand is all of my bridesmaids except my sister were in the same location. My sister was 2 hours away. After being told that plan, I called my sister and explained it to her. I said that she could come up and stay in my spare room at my apartment, but would not be able to go to the bar because of her age. I gave her the option of either doing that or I would come down one weekend and we would go on a girls' trip to wherever on my dime. She chose the latter, saying she understood and was okay with the arrangement. I had the bachelorette party and it was a blast. True to my word, I went down the next month and my sister and I went out of town to go shopping and spend the weekend together. Fast forward to late last year when my sister got engaged to the sweetest guy. I was ecstatic for them and proud of the woman my sister had become. I got the invite to be part of the bridesmaids party, which I was honored by, but she did not have me be the maid of honor. This honestly did not bother me, as she is entitled to having whoever she wants in the party and the role they play. About a month ago, I got some pictures from my mom of my sister and her other bridesmaids. She told me that I missed a great bachelorette party and that it was upsetting I couldn't come because of work commitments. I told her I had no idea what she was talking about. I was informed that my sister had told our parents that I declined to come to the bachelorette party because I was traveling for work. I called my sister and asked why she didn't tell me about the bachelorette party and lied to our parents. She said that it was to put me in my place for not changing my bachelorette party plans to be able to include her and for not making her the maid of honor at my wedding. So I thought that we had gotten past this and that she had been okay with all the choices and accommodations, but apparently she had been deeply hurt about not being my maid of honor and being excluded from the bachelorette party. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for not having my sister as my maid of honor and not having my actual maid of honor change the bachelorette party plans so she could attend the whole thing? I understand it is in the past and it can't be changed, but now I feel incredibly guilty for not choosing her as the maid of honor and changing the party plans at that time. Commenter says, not the a-hole. Your sister sure can hold a grudge. To be clear, she had the option of coming for dinner and the escape room, but instead opted for you to visit her. It was unrealistic of her to expect your whole bachelorette to center around a teenager. That's what I was saying earlier when I'm like, honestly, I think like it's okay if we do the thing that's because this is for the bride at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's at the bride. You're kind of, in a way, a liability to everyone having fun here because of your age and you live so far away.
Yeah.
So,
I would sneak you in, though.
yeah.
Sister. I'm surprised she doesn't get that now as an adult/bride. She did have the option to come to the dinner and escape room, but chose the option I offered of coming to her and spending the weekend with her and giving her a shopping spree. It was on my dime in the sense of I paid for the gas to get to where we went, and I paid for some of the activities that were not as expensive, go-karting, mini golf, etc., and then I paid for our dinner. Anything she wanted to buy when we were shopping was on her. It doesn't surprise me that she has held a grudge this long, as there are some friends she still doesn't talk to because of petty things that happened in middle or high school. She is the youngest in our family and has always been the princess. Things being changed to accommodate her schedule, so it is probably a mentality thing. She was always favored by her parents when setting up holidays, and I was expected to alter my work plans. To be fair, I never argued about it, just did it to keep the peace, but that is probably where she got this ingrained mentality. I'm not trying to rag on her because whatever, I wasn't included. That's on her, and she will probably regret it one day, but I need to know if I was the a-hole back then to understand if I should be apologizing now. We got some more commenters here. Anything you say to her, she's going to make it about you creating drama on her big day.
Oh, yeah.
I suggest you either just steer clear, let her have her day, and accept she doesn't want your involvement, or you could talk about the situation and have a third neutral party mediating the situation, or come to the wedding as a guest with a fabulous dress and have a fun time with your husband. I'm going to give her a wedding gift of champagne and say congratulations, you can have it now. OP responds to that, lol, I love the ideas, but I'll probably go with the first option and just write it out. I'm a huge person who thinks that things work themselves out and your regrets will catch up to you. I'm not going to make a big deal out of her not including me in the party, whatever. She just won't have memories of us together on that day, but I will probably address her issues with letting things go. This is a pattern for her behavior and something that almost ended my marriage before we worked through it with a lot of counseling. I don't want her relationship to break up because of an immature trait like this when she has grown in a lot of areas. OMG, not the a-hole, and WTF. Unless you lied and she was upset in the past about both, then how in the heck would you have known she was upset? And let's say you're lying. Again, I am thinking you're not. And she was upset this was over 8 years ago. Who in the heck has a loving relationship with their sister and waits 8 years or even 6 to 7 to get them back? What a terrible and awful thing to do. You may be proud of the woman she has become, but I hope she has some redeeming qualities because I don't see an adult. I see a bratty, spoiled 7-year-old throwing a tantrum with a wedding veil on. I won't lie, she can be very bratty at times and hold a grudge like no one I have ever seen. This is seen in the fact that her fiance wants to marry her. I don't want to degrade her character, as this post is not what that is about. I just needed confirmation if I was an a-hole back then and if I should apologize now. It wouldn't change the past, but if I was in the wrong, I want to at least apologize for the part that I played. Update. Clarifying points. Timeline. Party was a month ago, but pictures from her friend that does photography had just gotten back to my sister, who sent them to our mother a week later. I did not get my parents involved any further than they already were. They could address the issue of being lied to on their own. I did not drop out of the wedding party as it would have put her in a bind. The wedding was this past weekend. Despite what she did, I did not see a reason to put her through that kind of stress and further exacerbate the problem. But on to the update. Fake names used. The weekend after posting the original post, I got lunch with my sister, Emily, and her fiance, Cooper. My husband had to work. I first asked what she remembered about the situation around my bachelorette party because I thought that I might have forgot or misremembered something. Emily confirmed everything that I remembered and explained that she was agreeable to the arrangements back then. So,
Oh my gosh.
I asked why, years later, she felt she needed to get revenge when she had been okay with the agreements back then. Well, it turns out that Emily had never had a years-long grudge against me. It happened out of jealousy. Her maid of honor, Katie, had her wedding last year, where her maid of honor was her older sister. And later this year, Katie's sister was to be married with Katie as her maid of honor. Katie romanticized how it was so sweet that her and her sister could have this special connection by being each other's maid of honor. Katie talked it up so much that it got to Emily and made her resent that we couldn't have the same thing because of what I did years ago with not having her be the maid of honor. She did not have me be maid of honor because she had a strong connection with Katie. Fair enough. So I validated her feelings, but explained that just because she was jealous of something, she couldn't retroactively take back her agreement from the past if it was truly acceptable to her at the time. I told Emily that I would not drop out of the wedding party, but in exchange, I requested we needed to see a family therapist as I couldn't trust that there were not other situations in which she would act out like this, and we needed to explore it together. By the way, what else is interesting is every episode we have ever released. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app, and literally plug us into your brain holes for until you freaking wither away into dust.
Yeah, you could have us with you.
What do we think about this? Like, hey, I want to see a family counselor.
Honestly,
I think now if the sister's saying it's just jealousy, it could be good, but I feel like it might be resolved really quickly, depending on how deep-rooted this jealousy is, though.
yeah. And I don't know. I feel like family counseling might be best for OP's sister and husband, new husband. I feel like they should probably go to therapy together instead of you and. I don't know. It's like going to family therapy with me and Tate. Like we're not really that close. We're kind of in different parts of life.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, how about we just like play video games together like once a week for an hour?
Man's
Such a
therapy.
guy thing to say.
Well, like, what about you and I don't know?
And my non-existent sister.
Dang it, Carly.
Dang it.
You know what? You got it.
Are you an only child?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my gosh, you and freaking Dakota. You can't even relate to anything.
Yeah, for
It's
real.
like if
And yet we always get put on the crazy sibling stories together to read upstairs, and I'm like, why are we the ones?
we have no
We
say
give
in
the
this.
disclaimer, we are the only children here, we'll do our best.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they need it. They're in different parts of life. I think just keeping in contact or like trying to, I don't know, maybe a mediator.
Let's get into the finale of the story. So Cooper then requested Emily to either go to therapy or do couples therapy because she had not only lied to him like the rest of our family, but he saw it as a red flag that she got so jealous of someone else's happiness to cause this much pain to her own sister. So there were a lot of tears on her part and maybe mine, but I think we will get through this. Some of you pointed out that my actions maybe coddled her and to cut her out, but since this was the first time she did it to me, I wanted to give her a chance at redemption. We love that. Emily and Cooper are off on their honeymoon. Emily and I have our first therapy session in 3 weeks, and she will be starting individual therapy at the request of her husband. Well,
Okay.
not the worst ending ever.
My sister is treating me badly because of the things that I cannot control. If you can't control them, she can't get mad at you. And trigger warning, this does mention miscarriage, so please skip on by if you don't want to listen to that. Growing up, me and my sister, let's call her Sally, used to be really close, which got better in our 20s. Sally was even there and supported me through hard times. I, in turn, was there for her and supported her through everything that she went through as well. By the way, this comes from Present Cicada 6469, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I had thought this had brought us so much closer together that we were nearly inseparable, especially since I had moved back home. Heck, we even gave each of our children our middle names. We were that close. Shortly after Sally was released from the hospital, she started distancing from everyone. She constantly kept dropping her son off with our mom so she could drink. I remember one day clearly where I had overheard her telling our mom she was off to drink again, and she had been doing nothing but drinking because that's the only way that she was able to deal with what she went through.
What did she go through?
I would love to know, but I'm also scared to find
I'm
out.
frightened. What happened?
I had spoken up and said, but Sally, that's not the best solution for not only you, but Zero or Jack. Zero especially needs you right now. He doesn't know what's going on. Sally had made some comments, so I suggested if it was a money issue thing to go to this therapy place because her insurance would cover it there. We both had the same insurance. After this exchange, Sally distanced herself more. Roughly a year and a half ago, I met my now husband. Long story short, we did the birds and the bees and got lucky the very first night we were alone and found out that we were expecting a few weeks later. We had a discussion and talk where, because me and my family had lost so much the previous year, we were going to keep it quiet and not tell anyone until we got out of the danger zone. So then Easter time rolled around and I had this cute idea, since we were somewhat in the clear, to announce it through an Easter card where we would do our own custom scratch off where it says, "Somebody is excited to meet you." We had literally mailed out everyone's card, even though some of them lived in the same city, but not Sally's, because I wanted to hand deliver it to her and tell her myself, so that way I could be there for her. I thought it would be better or easier coming from me that way, considering everything she's been through. She immediately snatched it out of my hand, didn't even give me a chance to talk, said that she needed to get on the road to our dad's. So I asked her, could she look at it before she went to his house and call me so that we could talk about it? Sally never called me, and I didn't realize that that would be the last time that I would ever truly talk to her. Next thing I know, my phone is being blown up by my mom saying to prepare myself because, of course, my dad didn't listen. I called him prior and asked him not to say anything unless she brought it up. And he ruined it by bombarding her with what her thoughts were on my news. Mom even mentioned Sally got even more upset after she talked to her because Mom had told her everything too. I was really confused about what was going on and what she was talking about, so I asked my mom what on earth did she mean. I knew that she was probably going to be upset and trying my best to lessen the blow the best I could, but nothing prepared me for what Mom told me next. Mom goes, well, you know, of course the due date. And I was like, what about it? It's just a date, and for all we know, it could change in a couple of weeks once we had the anatomy scan. That's where I was informed and told that that was Sally's due date, and that's when her daughter was supposed to be born the year prior. My mouth literally dropped open and I couldn't believe my ears. So I said, you're kidding. Mom goes, no, honey, that was Sally's due date too. I had no idea and no clue because Sally never actually told me her due date. I never knew when the baby she lost was due. I didn't even put that in the card, so I told Mom I wish she hadn't said anything and let me be the one to tell her. So I typed up this long, heartfelt message apologizing because she wouldn't answer her phone, saying that I had no clue and I understood where she was coming from and how she felt, that if she needed time, I understood and would let her come to me when she was ready. Days, weeks, months go by with no communication with her at all. Anytime we were nearby, she'd leave or close herself off in another room. She legit avoided me like I was the plague. I had word getting back to me that she was pissed and upset that not only did I get pregnant, but I had to do it a year later and I had to get her due date.
Girl, do you not understand how, what?
Yeah, she didn't even know. And it's not like, you can't pick your due date. Yeah, like,
What the hell? That's not how that works.
she just either wanted to get pregnant or maybe sounded like it was kind of an accident.
Yeah.
So like she wasn't doing this like maliciously to
Not
try
at all.
to get back at you with this.
That's-
Also,
yeah.
pregnancies are a long time. So there's going to be like a lot of time in the year that those pregnancies are going to like overlap with like
Exactly, yeah.
anniversary stuff. Like,
Yeah.
so I was given the impression that I had pretty much taken her baby from her in a way. I tried my hardest and best not to take it personally because I knew exactly what she was going through and I knew how hard this was for her. But at the same time, I was really hurt and upset because my best friend had abandoned me. The day comes for the anatomy scan where we were informed that we were having a boy, as well as being told another potential due date was coming, but that they were keeping the later one to give him time to cook. I thought this would solve and fix everything. How foolish of me to think that. I contacted this lady on Etsy that made this adorable Disney themed gender reveal. Once it was finished and completed, we sent it to everyone. I personally messaged my sister with another heartfelt message, letting her know the new due date. I left out the fact that doctors weren't switching it though, hoping that it could help repair things or at least start the process. I continued to be avoided and ignored. Around summertime, I started having pregnancy issues so bad to the point that I ended up having to quit my job or risk my pregnancy. Not even a week or two after I quit, I went into labor the following Saturday, only to still be in labor that Monday. It all started Saturday. I was cramping and really hurting, so I decided to take a shower to see if it could help ease my pain and then ended up deciding to go in due to heavy flow that was so bad that I thought I was losing the baby. Mom was a huge help, took my other kids so I had nothing to worry about. At some point my water breaks, slowly, but labor keeps starting and stopping. Well, Monday comes around, still no baby, and labor at that point had completely stopped, and I was sitting at a 6. Long story short, I ended up having a C-section, which I had never experienced before. All my other births were natural. Everything was super scary and happening so fast, not to mention 6 weeks way too soon.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Our baby ends up in the NICU, and I end up in the hospital for an additional 4 days on top of the 3 that I already had. When our baby was finally released, we decided to surprise everyone because it was sooner than expected. I had no idea she was at my mom's house until I was at the front door, having him taken from me by her, holding him bawling. I didn't mind too terribly much because I thought it might help her, and I thought maybe she would finally start talking to me, so we allowed it. But still, even after that, she continued the ignoring. We went up to my grandma's for her 96th birthday back in March this year, where we didn't realize they were all going to be there. She didn't, nor Jack, really interacted with us until a little later during the day. Me and my husband went looking for our other 2, only to run smack dab into them in the garage. I wish we never went in, because we caught them smoking it up, and thanks to us going in, it was now wafting all over my grandma's house. Now that she was medicated, so to speak, she again took our son and actually talked to us. It was almost as if it were old times. Time comes around for all of us to start heading home when she asked our dad about filling her tank. He said, yeah, of course, and offered to fill ours too, since we managed to make it too. My daughter was super happy and asked if she could ride with Sally to the gas station, to which she said yes, until Jack caught wind and put it to an end. This broke my daughter's heart, and when she looked up, Sally was at her vehicle in it, promising and swearing that she'll make it up to her and that she'll give her hugs after they filled it up. Next thing I know, I'm hearing my daughter bawling in the back seat. So I ask what's wrong, only to realize they left. She was asking why Sally lied and if she loved her anymore. Oh my gosh.
Aww.
That is so sad.
Sally, stop this.
My dad asked what was wrong, so I explained the whole situation and told him not to worry about it. So should have known that he would have called her, because as we were going down the highway, she calls apologizing and telling her that she's sorry, but ends up hanging up because we didn't really have anything to say. Back in April, my oldest had a bus incident where his life was threatened. Oh wow. We of course reported to the school, who does an investigation on the whole situation. A few days go by when we get a call saying that we'd be happy to know that everything was found to be true. The kid is being taken care of and that they handed everything over to the cops to handle it legally. Of course, I called to update my mom, who goes, that's wonderful, and that Sally will be thrilled to know that, which piqued my interest, so I asked why, where my mom informs me that Sally said that my oldest is a liar, so he couldn't be telling the truth. Also, for the record, this entire time, she wasn't just ignoring, avoiding, and mistreating me, but also my husband, whom she never actually truly met or got to know, as well as my oldest. Sally interacted with and talked with my daughter some, but she even got some of it. This was the last straw for me. I immediately blocked and deleted her on everything. Took myself out of everything connected to her. As time passed, I have avoided and steered away from conversations that involve her. And I hope that you never avoid us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, whatever your favorite podcast app is, because we've got full stories with more episodes just like this one. Just search OK Storytime. If anyone asks me questions, I inform them that I've cut her out and don't know or care. I informed my parents to stop letting her know things about my family and that we were completely done with her, as well as let them know that I don't want to know anything about them either. It's one thing to treat me terribly and horribly, but it's another to turn that towards my children. My parents keep telling me to hang in there. She'll come around eventually, but I'm like, it'll be too late by then because I'm done. So am I the a-hole for cutting her and her family out?
I don't think you're the a-hole for needing. I think at a certain point you have to do it to protect your own mental health, especially because she's attacking you for things that you can't control. But I do think I would have a little bit more of an open mind on letting her come back into your life.
Yeah.
Should she improve herself and apologize and actually try to be back in your life?
Exactly. But that is the end of that story. We've got another one coming right up. My family's jealousy ruined my wedding. Now they want to reconnect. No. Am I the a-hole for blocking my whole family on my mother's side after my wedding and not talking to them even when they still try to contact me? I, 28 female, got married 2 years ago and moved to a different country just 2 weeks after. Since then, I have never spoken to any of my aunts, uncles, or cousins from my mom's side. By the way, this comes from Tired But Witchy on the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit, but if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So,
For background, my mom's entire family lives in the same town as us. Growing up, we were very close. I used to live in another city for my studies, but whenever I came home, it was always dinners, meetups, staying over at each other's houses, and going on trips. They felt like my people. I was very close with all of them, especially my cousins. The issues started 1 year before my wedding, when I got engaged to my longtime boyfriend. In our culture, love marriages are not common. In fact, I am the first one in my family to have a love marriage. Luckily, my parents were supportive and open about it. Since my boyfriend and his family lived in the same area, my parents already knew him, and they were happy with our relationship. During my engagement party, one of my uncles, my mom's sister's husband, made a horrible comment about me. First, they came really late to the party and didn't talk to any of us. Then he said it in front of other family members, "If my daughter was effing around with a boy and then came asking for a marriage, I would be ashamed." Not celebrating their engagement. We didn't even know this happened because we were busy enjoying the party. But the next day, my mom's older sister called her to tell her everything he said. She also told my mom that she should call him and apologize because he felt disrespected that no one asked him for his permission if I can marry my boyfriend or not, since he's an elder. He's the type of person you can't stand to see anyone happy. At every celebration, birthdays, weddings, even religious events, he somehow finds a way to make it about himself and create drama. But we still never expected this level of hatred, especially towards me. He used to call me his own daughter and loved me growing up. When my mom found out, she was furious at all of these family members for not standing up for me. Even worse, the rest of the family kept saying, "That's how he is. Don't take it to heart," like they always do. But this time, my mom stood up for me. She called her sister, his wife, and said clearly how disgusting his behavior was, and that if this was what he thinks about me, then he should never come to our house or talk to us again. After that, the entire family started pressuring us to apologize to him. They said, if he won't come to the wedding, we can't either, out of respect. They kept saying that we should be the bigger person. But my parents were not ready to give in. We thought it was one of those regular dramas that he does every few months and maybe things would calm down eventually. But no, that issue became the reason that we were slowly cut off from the whole family.
Well, you know what? If your family's going to side with this guy and what he wants.
Yeah.
I'm also confused because, like, it's not even his family.
Right.
You know? Like,
Right.
this isn't his blood. Yes, he married in, so obviously, you know, that is important. But, like,
Sure.
He's calling all of the shots.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're going to listen to him because disrespect, you know? And it's like, that's not even a blood relative.
Right. Not even like you're the father. Like, what? Just because he's an elder, he should have, like, power to give permission? Like, so what? You have to go to every single person in your family that's older than you and get permission for your marriage? Like,
Dude,
come on. No.
You can't get a unanimous vote out of that many
Yeah,
people.
that's crazy. I'm talking about 6 aunts and uncles and 17 cousins that I was once really, really close to. The pressure from my family continued for 2 to 3 months. Then, 10 months before the wedding, my mom's brother passed away. He was a heavy drinker and had been very sick for a long time. It was really sad. After his passing, we all met again for the funeral and rituals. It was the first time the whole family came together after the fight. Everyone was acting nice and normal. We thought maybe the grief had healed the differences and brought us back together. Normally, we would have canceled the wedding after passing in the family, especially since it was so close. But since I was moving abroad just 2 weeks after the wedding, and in our culture we can't live together before the marriage, it wasn't an option to postpone. To honor the loss in the family, we decided to cancel all celebrations. No music, no dancing, no functions. Just a simple temple ceremony with close family. My parents and in-laws agreed. We just wanted to make it a formality. But when we informed the extended family, they lost it again. This time, they weren't upset because of the grief. They were demanding that we cancel the wedding entirely, at least for 2 more years. They didn't want to understand our situation at all. It didn't matter that I was leaving the country. It didn't matter that we were still grieving. They just wanted control. I had a breakdown. I told my parents, I don't even want a wedding anymore. Let's just get married at the temple with just the people who love us. I'm done trying to please anyone else. My parents didn't like it, but they understood. We also planned to come back a year later to celebrate properly when my sister got married, so that gave us some hope. Before we informed them about this, one of my aunts, who doesn't usually get involved in drama, told us the real reason behind all of this. It was not my wedding or my uncle's passing or any disrespect. The truth was jealousy.
Shock. Wow, everyone's
Boom.
surprised about that.
Yeah, come on.
They didn't have a real reason for being against your marriage?
Yeah. What? No way.
No way.
2 cousins, brother and sister from 2 different uncles, were still unmarried at the ages of 36 and 35. I loved my cousins, but none of them really have stable jobs like their parents do or are doing well in their careers. Both had bad reputations in our small town due to multiple affairs and toxic behavior. For years, their families had tried to find arranged matches. Nothing worked because of their past and how everyone knew about it. On the other hand, I was getting married at 26 to a good man from a respectable family, and my sister was engaged too. According to this aunt, those uncles were bitter that our lives were moving forward while their children, who never studied, never built careers, and created drama, were stuck.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah.
Stop comparing your kids to other kids.
Exactly. You don't
Stay in
wanna,
your lane.
can't bring down everyone else just because
No.
your kids suck. They thought that it was unfair that our family always got everything. That we had a house, education, stable jobs, happy relationships, while they had nothing. But that was their own choice. My mom worked hard to study even when her family had nothing. My dad supported her after marriage to continue education and become a teacher. They sacrificed luxuries to build a life for us. I studied for years to become a dentist. My sister also worked hard to move forward. Meanwhile, our uncles spent money on trips, married women that they never let study or work, and raised kids who didn't take their futures seriously. But when things didn't go their way, instead of taking responsibility, they blamed us. After hearing the truth, I decided I wouldn't delay or change my wedding anymore. We held the wedding as expected. The entire maternal family cut contact with us. Wow. Even after realizing that it was all
Yeah.
jealousy all along?
Well, I think it wasn't like they realized, oh,
Yeah.
it's jealousy. I think the aunt was like, it's
like,
jealousy.
Yeah. Oh,
and
that's
and
so
they're going to
annoying.
continue living in their little jealous world instead
Gosh.
of being happy for other people.
Right. Come on.
Boo-hoo.
Gosh.
Boo-hoo.
Those 10 months were the worst time of our lives, especially for my mom. She had always supported her siblings financially and emotionally. When someone needed a fridge, car, or medical help, she gave. During the vid, when no one had income, she sent them money every month without even counting. She helped them with college fees. She stood by them in hospitals. And when we needed them, no one showed up. My mom started having panic attacks. We pulled all-nighters calming her. My dad's health declined from stress. I had to arrange everything for the wedding myself: food, clothes, logistics, and also prepare to move abroad. I had no bridesmaids. None of my cousins who I grew up with even messaged me, not even once. Most of my friends were abroad. My hometown didn't feel like home anymore. My husband and his family were supportive, but they had their own preparations to do. I was physically and emotionally exhausted. I fainted right after the wedding ceremony while we were getting our pictures taken, and I was hospitalized the next day. That's my wedding memory. Not joy. Dang. Not joy. Not laughter. Just exhaustion, sadness, and betrayal. Now it's been 2 years. We moved abroad. My parents are doing better. We've healed in many ways. A few months ago, the same aunt who told us the truth started talking to my mom again. She told my mom that one of my cousins, the son of the uncle who passed, wanted to reconnect. He told her it's time to move on and start over. A few days later, I got a message from him through his wife's Instagram account saying that I was being selfish and that it's not easy to go against your family. I blocked him immediately. Yeah, this was... He wanted to move on and start over, and he's like, you're selfish. You shouldn't have left your family, even though they all cut her out.
Yeah, they left you. And
Yeah.
he's like, you left because of you, too.
Yeah,
Because of the freaking uncle.
Yeah.
That's all his fault.
literally.
And he's the one being like, you left your family.
Yeah,
Come on.
that's
Look
so
in a
crazy.
mirror, buddy.
By the way, you could look into your favorite podcast app, whether that's Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, whatever you so choose, and search OK Storytime, because there's going to be full episodes with more stories in there. Go over there. Find it. There is a little bit more to the story. Do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you literally just got married and have a good life, and they're
Yeah.
jealous.
Yeah.
At this point, I think you just kind of distance yourself, which they've already done for you.
Right.
You support your mom, who's unfortunately had to lose a lot of her family.
Yeah.
And you create your own kind of family unit apart from these people.
Right. And I'm like so confused, and like it's so frustrating that the aunt that told the truth about the jealousy didn't even talk to the mom
Yeah.
anymore. She was like, they're doing jealousy.
Well, it's because the whole thing of her being like the one who's not involved in drama, but it's like when you're not involved in drama, but you still kind of take the side of the people who are
totally
starting
take the
it.
side. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not great.
No, that's crazy. Because I feel like if you are going to take that route, you got to be like the middleman. But she just totally wasn't even talking to the mom at all. It's crazy. There's a little bit more to the story. Now, my mom is gently asking me to consider giving the cousins a chance. She says that they were just silent because they couldn't go against their parents, and that I shouldn't lose all my relationships over something that the elders did. But here's how I see it. These cousins are not children. They're adults between 23 and 35, and not one of them tried to speak up. Not one message, not one call. They chose their parents' side. Silence, to me, is the same as betrayal, especially when we needed them the most. Now they want to reconnect, but I honestly don't need them. I've lived through the worst without them. My parents are stronger now. My husband's family treats me like their own. We've built a peaceful life. But deep down, every time I remember what happened, my heart starts pounding. I get anxious, and I hate that I still carry that pain. So now I'm here asking, am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive, refusing to unblock them, and refusing to let them back into my life even now? And that is the end of that story. What would your answer be?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't
None
think
at all.
so.
My sister-in-law wants a perfect life, and she demands that we pay for it.
You have to pay.
My husband, Ray, 36 male, and I, 35 female, have been together since we were 17 and married for 7 years. We struggled for a while because we were long distance during our early 20s, but against all odds, we have made it work and have built a happy life together. By the way, this comes from Clapsamopsy, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, I am a successful researcher, and my husband holds a job with a well-known NGO trying to find sustainable ways to build up developing countries' economies. We just bought my dream apartment in Manhattan and are very content where we are.
Manhattan.
Currently, we are childless, and it'll probably stay that way. My sister-in-law, Mary, 38 female, lives in Boston with her wife, Jess, 35 female. We all see each other pretty regularly since they often come to NYC to shows and whatnot. For the entirety of Ray's and my relationship, I always had the feeling Mary didn't like me much. She was always pretty rude to me, for example, slamming doors in my face, telling Ray she wanted to introduce him to her friends who thought he was hot, and making snide remarks about my culture and heritage. I'm German, they are Jewish. She isn't always rude. We've had fun together, just never one-on-one. Mary is a very competitive person, and I think she regrets some of the career choices she's made. I do know she hates how close I am with her and Ray's family. I also know that some of her family value my relationship more than hers because she's attracted to the same gender. I can't blame her for being upset about that. Recently, as my husband and I have really started making it in our careers, we have been able to live a very comfortable life. The apartment we just bought is big enough for us and 2 children if we decide to have them. But currently those rooms are a game room and a guest room. Aw, having a game room would be awesome.
That's the dream.
Or like a Lego room.
I was gonna say like a combined like office,
Just a dork
all of my
nerd
nerd
room.
trinkets,
Yeah.
games.
Since we bought this apartment, Mary and Jess have been visiting us more and more often. At first, it was okay. We didn't mind having people in our house every now and then. But now they visit nearly every week, and they don't even bother to ask if they can stay at our house until they are already in the city. They don't spend any time visiting with us, and they are so messy, I can barely stand it. What? Wait, they're staying with you, but they're not actually hanging out with you?
Yeah.
Think dirty dishes everywhere, clothes thrown around the room, and not making the bed when they leave. Messed up. I once came home to find my kitchen in a horrific state when they made lasagna, ate it all, and then had to run out the door to catch their Broadway show. I mean, at that point, I'm like, hey, you can't stay here if you're going to treat my house like this. Sorry.
We gotta clean up after ourselves.
Yeah.
Even kids can do that.
Yeah. I'm not OCD.
I was gonna say Carly's interested in what Broadway show.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really did want to know that information.
Yeah, well, what
actually.
Broadway show did you have to run out for?
Why are we rushing to get to our Broadway shows?
Should've
Plan
been-
these out, people.
Yeah.
You live in Manhattan.
but I work hard to keep things clean, and after a long day, I want to come home to my clean apartment. They once gave so little notice, it clashed with some friends staying with us, and we had to turn them away at the door. This was met with whining and a temper tantrum worthy of a 5-year-old from Mary, until Jess dragged her away. We have asked them to stop coming unannounced and to clean up, which resulted in them scheduling ahead for a while and then just slipping into old patterns again. And again, I think we've talked about this before. When you set a boundary, you need to enforce it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're going to walk all over you and know that you won't do anything about it. So
it sounds like they're not always staying with them. They just visit and stay with them.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're just like, we're coming in to see a Broadway show tonight.
Probably. And then
We'll
they
be
make
in
a
your
mess.
house.
And I think
they
that
trash it.
what I would do is
Yeah.
you set the boundary. You say, hey, we need notice and you need to clean up. And if you don't do that, then you can't stay with us.
Yeah.
And then if they revert back to their old habits and don't give you notice and don't clean up, you say, sorry, can't stay with us. Turn away from at the door.
Yeah. 100%.
That's it. Since my husband and I have a bit of cash to spare, we recently decided to help my sister, 32 female, and her husband buy a house back in Germany. We lent them part of the money they needed for the down payment at a 0% interest rate, which they have 10 years' time to pay us back in small amounts. My sister has always been very responsible, and I have no doubt that we will see this money again. When Mary found out what we had done, she practically demanded that we help her and Jess out financially. They have always wanted children and tried with a baby juice donor, but have had no success the 3 times they've tried. They want to start doing IVF, but can barely afford it, so she wants us to pay for it. I was very taken aback by this demand, so was Ray, and we said we would think about it. We have talked about it since and are leaning towards saying no. We know how much they want a child, but we feel that IVF isn't the same as making an investment for a house. We also know they'll have difficulty paying us back, and we're scared if we say yes now, the demands will just continue. Mary and Ray were never close, even as children, whereas my sister and I have been very close ever since she was born. I know some of this stuff may sound petty, but both Ray and I really value our privacy, and we are a bit unsure how to proceed here. Mary and Ray's family have always handled Mary with kid gloves since their parents divorced. Ray describes her as wanting to have the perfect life and getting upset when she doesn't. And no one in her family wants to be the reason her life isn't perfect, and usually responds to her fits and demands with, that's just how she is, just give her what she wants and it'll be fine. I really don't just want to give in here, but I also really value the relationships I have built with Ray and Mary's family and don't want to jeopardize those. My husband is pretty non-confrontational. He just shuts down at it. I guess I'm looking for a tactful way for both me and my husband to stop all of this. Any advice is welcome, and there are some comments, but what do you think?
Tell them no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we just need to flat out be like, hey, we helped you with the house.
Yeah, we helped you with
a
a lot
lot
of things.
already.
Haven't really seen that,
Yeah, this is something that we just
reciprocated?
don't think that we can do
Yeah.
for you. So sorry.
Yeah.
I really hope it works out for you, though.
I think you just, again, need to showcase that you can set boundaries
Yeah.
with your in-laws.
If you continue to not hold them, they're going
Mhm.
to continue to push and push and push.
Yeah.
And you'll keep caving.
I think setting the boundaries now will even maybe, not necessarily, but might improve the relationship.
Yeah, Nora
in
says
the long run.
saying no shouldn't jeopardize the relationship. Otherwise, there was expectations with the connection.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
wanted something out of you, and that's the only reason that they've been over. Comment 1 says, ultimately, you and Ray need to go low contact with her. Stop letting her stay with you ever. Because she, wife, have zero boundaries or respect, and nothing will ever be enough. It's absolutely outrageous that they expect you to pay for IVF. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We can't accommodate you. No. It is actually a complete sentence. But honestly, your husband has to be completely on board, and I'm getting the sense that he'll waver because family. But when family are a-holes, they don't get the same considerations. OP says, I always feel bad for them, though. I know they don't need my pity, but they are not at the point in life they thought they'd be. Mary is frustrated with her career, just didn't pass the exams to become a doctor yet. They don't have children yet. We can technically afford to help them out. It's just the way they basically demanded it. I'll speak to Ray about this. Comment 2 says, it seems to me that this is the typical situation of family members wanting more than they should get, just because they're family. They heard about your sister and automatically assume they should get some money as well. As others said, be correct, but keep it at a cordial no. You seem like responsible people. You know who is able to handle the money and to be trusted with it. And Mary broke your trust when it came to small things. Why trust her with big things like a heap of cash? Update. So last night, after I posted, Ray and I sat down and discussed what we wanted to do. I told him all about this post and stuff. Ray agreed with me on most of the stuff, although he didn't mind Mary and Jess coming over and being messy as much as I did. But he said that if I was really bothered by this was something we needed to address. On Tuesday, we are driving to a town in upstate New York to see Ray's family for Thanksgiving. Mary and Jess will be there too, and while we want to get this out of the way before the holidays, I don't think that'll be possible because we want to do it before the holidays, because we want to do it in person if at all possible. So we're thinking on Tuesday or Wednesday we might sit Mary and Jess down and talk to them. This is what we thought we'd do. Ray will be the one doing most of the talking as it's his sister. He does have a big problem with confrontation, so we went over what we say and possible responses. He'd lead with asking them to please not come to our apartment unannounced anymore. He will be saying that these surprise visits are wearing us down, that we feel they don't respect our space because of the messes, the unannounced visits, etc. He'll say that if they show up at our house or call 30 minutes before they arrive, they won't be staying with us, period. And by the way, you can stay with us and listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
Period.
But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I feel like most of my thoughts stay the same. I think a conversation is really good to have. I did mix up, I think, when I was speaking earlier about who the house was for, but it still stands. Like, you still can't just expect that because someone else got that same thing.
Exactly.
And it's like,
who OP has a closer relationship
right,
to.
and you haven't been showing that you're reliable and trustworthy on her part. You gotta
you have to prove
gotta
that
maintain that.
you're gonna be responsible with that money.
So a
And pay it back.
conversation, a great step.
Yeah.
I want to know where in New York you're going.
Yes. And what Broadway show? Gotta finish the story. Secondly, he'll be saying that we were a bit offended that they would just demand for us to pay for their IVF treatment. He is simply going to say we can't afford that at this moment. If they whine, it's just gonna be, nope, over and over again. I would love your input on this matter. Should Ray talk to Mary one-on-one? Or should we talk all four of us? Should this wait until after Thanksgiving? Or should Ray talk to her on the phone today? Anyway, thanks for all possible input. And Common One says he's simply going to say we can't afford that at this moment. So giving them the hope that they will get a yes if they pester you in the future. Comment 2 says people who are reasonable can handle explanations. Jess and Mary have shown themselves to be unreasonable, so they don't get explanations. They just get told what you guys are doing, which is we're not paying you for IVF treatments and we're not hosting you without receiving notice of your visit X days before. You don't have to explain anything beyond that because they are unreasonable and will challenge and try to manipulate any further explanation. You're going to have to treat them like petulant children until they can show they can act like mature adults. And that is the end of that story, folks.
My mother-in-law is upset that we didn't tell her the baby's name first.
Hey, I called dibs on knowing that.
My partner and I just recently welcomed our third baby. Congratulations. All of my births have been scheduled for induction or a planned C-section, so each birth was on the day and our babies entered the world calmly. I always felt blessed for that. By the way, this comes from Juju Cat Hulu, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So this one arrived 4 weeks early with my water breaking, so we were taken by the wind with her arrival. Previous to this, with the global pandemic, work has been absolutely insane, and I was easily giving 50 or more hour work weeks. The house got away from both my partner and I. With each baby, I have a ritual of deep cleaning, every piece of laundry done, everything is in order. Given the surprise entrance of our daughter, everything was the opposite, and I had to literally do laundry to even finish my hospital bag. And I had to leave for the hospital before anything was finished. So, just to set the scene, everything felt chaotic, and literally 3 hours after arriving to the hospital, I was in surgery for delivery. Wow, moving fast. We still had no name for our baby. Before they took me back, we began calling family to let them know what was happening. We called my partner's mom twice, waiting 20 minutes between each phone call. It came down to the minute, and as they were taking me back, she returned our call, but we sent her a text letting her know what was happening. She asked to be updated, and absolutely, that was no issue. When she was born, 6:38 p.m., pictures and stats were sent, and we confessed that we still didn't have a name. She replied her congratulations, and all was well. Famous last words. We finally got back
to our room and were obviously up into early hours. As we went back and forth, we chose a name. Exhausted, I updated a Facebook post with her name and went to sleep, not thinking much of it. Mind you, I was so tired, I didn't even update my own mother. I knew I could call her the next day and it wouldn't be an issue. Or so we thought.
Oh, think again.
The next morning, my partner got the following message. I find it sad that on such a momentous event, the birth of your daughter, you can't notify me with her name once you both decided on one. I'm only her grandmother. I can't understand what I ever did wrong that you fail to, in some small way, connect with me ever so often. Gee, I'm only your mother. Ironic when, from the past, hearing raves of what a wonderful son I raised. He's a special young man. We just love him, blah, blah, blah. Who am I again? Oh, just a woman who gave birth to a boy almost 36 years ago. I wasn't perfect as your mother, a parent. You'll discover you aren't either. There was much I gave up to raise a family, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh my God.
Even homeschooling because it became necessary. Even when you refused to leave the vehicle for 7th grade. I laugh at the irony
Dude, she's
now.
bringing up 7th grade?
This is crazy.
What?
You never wanting to do the work and then desperately wanting to be homeschooled. Here's the thing. I never neglected to keep in touch with my folks, even when obligations faced. I helped as the need arose. All I know is I stay connected. My prayers will always be with my grandchildren, and that someday, as they grow older, they experience the greatest miracle of all. Probably not by their parents, but with hope and prayer, a cousin, an aunt, or an uncle. Again, congratulations on the birth of Hannah Marie to her siblings. Be well. I love you.
Is she gone?
That was like a perfectly written monologue for someone. That was so insanely dramatic and well thought out, though.
That is truly the Shakespeare of insane post-birth messages to get from your mom.
It was crazy.
Like,
who am I? Just your mother.
I wish I could
insane.
stand in front of her while she was saying all this, and I would just go, boring.
Yeah. As I watched my partner read this, I could tell he was upset by it. It's not something you want to get after not even 24 hours after the birth of your child. When I read it, I was instantly angry. The most upsetting part of her behavior was towards the end. She is extremely religious, so when she went on about our children experiencing the miracle, she was talking about God. Probably not by their parents, she said, in quotes. Uh-oh. I'd like to mention, while we are not married and we don't worship in the same calculated and devoted way she does, she basically called us religious failures to not only our existing children, but the one who has not been on this earth one full rotation. But, hopefully someone will save them and teach them how to get to heaven, because to her, their souls were screwed. Marriage is something we plan on down the line, and quite frankly, it's no one's rightful business. So for the first time in 10 years I've known her, I spoke up. Mind all of you, I've always respected her, and while I don't understand her one bit, I've never held it against her. She is who she is, and she gave me my partner, so for that I will always love her. But my respect for her plummeted, and I replied with this with my partner's read through and permission. He said he didn't know how to reply, and with his blessing, I sent it. Hi.
Oh, here we go.
So, I understand you expressed some feelings towards Ryan and I just wanted to reach out. Truthfully, I am upset by your timing and am confused by where you felt wronged in the chaos of me going into labor and getting Hannah's name out to you. It seems you were upset by the fact that we did not update you in the way that you wanted to be updated, and I'm sorry if you felt it was intentional or we were trying to push you away somehow. To be quite honest, my water broke and suddenly I was having surgery with a half-packed hospital bag at home still. I did ask Ryan when we were waiting for me to go back for surgery if he got a hold of you, and both calls were missed when we tried to call. He did, however, let me know that you were texting with him. Pictures and post-birth stats were provided. We have been occupied with Hannah's care since,
as she is considered premature, so we haven't had the time to stop and contact everyone individually as frequently as we had wished this time around. In fact, we didn't even have a name ourselves, as each nurse asked what to write on her little name card throughout the evening. We apologize that giving you her name right away was overlooked. This baby entered the world in a bit of a chaos, and we seemed to have failed the expectation we should update you by a certain time. I added her name to my Facebook post to get a mass announcement out. This wasn't done with any intention to upset anyone. I'm not aware of anyone else being upset by this, but maybe it brought up disappointment in other places for you, as you've now shared. Particularly how we have decided to raise our children and their relationship with religion. It was stressful to be called not enough in a time where we are welcoming a new life into this world. Right now, I'm going through a hard time with breastfeeding our premature baby who is losing weight, as it's a bit of a rougher start for her than my first two. This feedback by you is unwelcome. We are preoccupied as new parents, and Ryan is an understanding partner, guiding and supporting both of us. I am amazed by him all over again. It was left field to be somewhat taunted about how hopefully my children will be saved by a relative, as if they have somehow been failed already. Rest assured, God loves them with or without a daily scripture. Clearly, this is an observation you have kept to yourself for a long time. Again, I apologize if everything above seems sharp, but honestly, we could have used more positive light from your direction and reading that was in general upsetting. On that note, we do love you and hope to set up a time where you can meet Hannah Marie in person. She is very excited to meet her family, and we will be reaching out once we feel settled. We love you, and we'll send more pictures soon. Boom. How do we feel about that?
If I could roll my eyes into the back of my head right now, I would.
Yeah.
That was way too much. I'm sorry, but it's like you're playing your game.
Yeah.
You've done exactly what she wanted.
Yeah, it's just hard when with these problems. It's hard when they happen over text like this, because you feel like you have to hit each point of like what they're saying, or else it's just gonna like exist and build resentment or something like that. But then to do that, you have to like do an equally long or longer paragraph to explain yourself, and it's just gonna be a never-ending cycle.
The rest of that can be talked out in person if you even want to, but it's like it just needed to be like a paragraph max, and it needed to be like really disappointed in the way that you've communicated with us right after the birth of your granddaughter. You don't need to take shots at your son like that on what should be one of the most memorable days of his life.
Right.
Again, very disappointed. We'll talk to you about this later.
Yeah, I like that. His mother never replied. Days go by, and I honestly was going to let it go, except that we would never see eye to eye, and she would probably read it and just didn't want to say anything. Well, yesterday, my sister-in-law, who was just as upset by this, shared that his mother was openly complaining about the whole situation, and that she admittedly never read my message, and she didn't plan to. Now I'm angry all over again. In all of this, for all she knew, we didn't call her again because maybe my partner's phone died, for all she knew. If anything, she could have called us to check on not only myself, but her son. She instead decides to send some more righteous, self-absorbed person messages on top of it and won't even receive a reply to it. We are planning a dinner over there soon, so everyone can meet her. Everyone has been quarantining, by the way, and cases are very low in our state. And I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know how I'm going to conduct myself, let alone get through a whole dinner. I'm so upset, I don't even want her to hold this baby, and I'm mostly talking out of anger. And by the way, we're always over here talking just out of necessity. So you can listen to it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. You can find full episodes with stories just like this one.
That's right.
So yeah, there's a little bit more to this story, but any final thoughts before we go into it?
You're playing into the game, which you can do, but
yeah.
This was like a surprise. It was an early delivery. Like it was they didn't know they were going to be at the hospital. There's all this craziness going on. They didn't even have a go bag. Like it was very chaotic.
Right.
So it's in no way were they intentionally trying to exclude or hurt the mother-in-law, but mother-in-law very much intentionally tried to hurt them.
Yeah.
So
that is true.
Regardless of like well, maybe they shouldn't have posted on Facebook. They were not the ones being malicious.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely not. Yeah, like I don't think that posting is bad at all. But yeah, like even if it was her, this is a much bigger reaction than it should be. But there is a little bit more, so let's get on into it. My partner does think that this is stemming from forgetting to call her on Mother's Day for the first effing time ever. Absolutely, he dropped the ball, but who's perfect? And we've literally had the most stressful year in general. But I still don't think that excuses her timing. Yeah, okay. I'd also like to point out that I can't even remember or count on one hand the amount of times that she's reached out to us. It seems to be the other way around. And not once has she ever called me throughout this pregnancy to see how I'm doing. How the heck am I going to move forward and get past my emotional urge to call her out? Or do I not even bother and swallow my pride? And we do have some comments. Should I read those right now, or do you have some comments beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say about how to go about like moving through life with this person involved in it, just taking away her authority in your head. Because that's the thing that makes it crazy. It's like this, my mother-in-law, but it's like, just look at her as like an annoying kid.
Yeah.
You know? Because that's what she's being right now.
That's true.
She's resulting to 7th grade. She's trying to slam dunk bully her own child.
Right. Commenter number 1 says, just wow. I'm so angered on your behalf. I've gotten some crazy emails from my own parents, but you're right. The narcissism of that during a time that you definitely don't need any added stress, that takes the cake.
Yeah.
Is your partner outraged? All of the self-righteousness regarding religion, the holding his 7th grade self against him, it sounds like she is a toxic force in your life. I would seriously consider cutting her out of your family. She should realize what is at stake when berating you for not telling her immediately the granddaughter's name. Does she not realize that you guys control access to her grandkids? Would he ever consider cutting her out? Nope, he responds, I could cry. Thank you for this validation. I was like, #sweaty palms posting this because I feel insecure about the whole situation. I've known this woman for 10 years and not once has she ever lashed out like this, so I felt like I was breaking down a wall doing so. A lot of people have said that I'm overly nice in my response to her, but imagine having no issues with someone on a confrontational level and you suddenly had to rise to the occasion. Interacting with her in general can be eggshells. She's very opinionated. She is very isolated, and a lot of the family on his side aren't extremely close with her from what I understand, as a distant outsider. Her daughter, my partner's only sibling, has a very strained relationship with her. His mom is absolutely included in the family, but half the time there's unnecessary tension. I think my partner isn't surprised by it, and while that isn't necessarily outraged, they aren't surprised either. Would I cut her off? That's a loaded question. She has a lot of illnesses, so she kind of gets a free pass to a point. We don't see her a lot. I really was hoping that my message would at least be read, but apparently she gets the final say, and that's that. And that is that for the whole story.
Again, get rid of her authority. You're independent adults. I assume you don't rely on this woman for support or anything. So just start rejecting her sense of authority.
Yeah. If Riley was here, he would say to just call her and just talk instead of having problems over text. Just call.
It's true.
And because that's exactly what happens. You give them the opportunity to have the last laugh just like that, and or to just not say anything at all. And then it's like, okay, great. Now it's still a problem and nothing has been resolved. Wonderful. My boyfriend keeps supervising my health and I'm getting tired of it.
Mind your own business.
I, 18 female, have been dating my boyfriend, let's call him Jake, 24 male, for a little under a year. At first, things were really good. He seemed emotionally stable, mature, grounded, all the things that I thought I wanted after dealing with a lot of chaotic guys my own age. By the way, this comes from Dry Butterscotch 414, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So,
slightly concerning age gap.
I agree.
Concerning.
I agree. For a little under a year.
Yeah, I'm like, did you just turn 18?
Yeah. I thought we had an understanding that we are equal in this relationship, but over the months, the dynamic has really started to shift, and now I'm not sure I'm being treated like a partner at all.
Ah, the 24-year-old's treating you like an 18-year-old.
Oh. For some background, I have been diagnosed with endometriosis and POTS. Both conditions affect my daily life in big ways. I deal with chronic fatigue, dizziness, and a lot of pain. There are days when I physically can't get out of bed without struggling, and managing my symptoms takes a lot of mental energy on top of everything else. Jake knows this. I was upfront about it from the beginning, and at first he was really kind and supportive, but over time he's started acting like he knows better than me how I should be living my life. It started with small comments about how much I sleep or how I manage my symptoms, but now it's like I can't do anything without some kind of lecture or judgment. Some examples: if I sleep in to manage a flare-up, that's not healthy. You need structure or you'll never be independent. If I get food delivered on a day that I'm too fatigued to cook, you're wasting money and being lazy. If I cancel plans because of pain, you'll never build resilience if you give in every time. And even if I lie down after standing too long and feel dizzy, which is a POTS symptom, he tells me that I should push through because resting too much makes it worse.
Are you a doctor?
I don't think so.
I don't think you're a doctor.
I don't think so. He also makes comments about my outfits being too revealing or not appropriate, and when I tell him I don't want unsolicited advice, he just says that he's trying to help me grow or teach me how to be an adult.
Why is your boyfriend teaching you how to be an adult? He's not your dad. Oh, that's so icky.
But I am an adult, just one managing 2 chronic illnesses on top of everything else. Things came to a head last week. I was having a rough few days. A bad endo flare, zero energy, and could barely sit upright for long. He came over and saw that I had been resting most of the day and immediately launched into another long-winded talk about discipline and life habits and how I need to stop relying on rest as a crutch. I had had enough. So I said, not even shouting, just tired, I didn't agree to date a discount dad. If I wanted someone to supervise my life and tell me how I'm failing, I would move back in with my parents.
Ooh.
And he went completely silent.
Good.
He left my apartment and didn't talk to me for 2 days. When he finally did, he said, I crossed a line.
Oh, is baby upset? Is little baby upset?
Aw, we need to teach you how to be an adult and learn how to
Yeah.
take criticism.
Mm-hmm.
He was just trying to help, and then I had no idea how hard it is to support someone who won't even try. I want to commit so many crimes upon this man right now.
Crime.
I want
Crime.
to do crime on this man.
Crime.
Crime. I was honestly stunned. Now his friends are messaging me saying that I'm selfish and too immature to handle a relationship with a real adult.
Yes. She's 18.
Yeah.
She's a teenager.
Because, like, the way
She's
they're
not
saying
an adult.
Right, right.
She's a teenager.
And we're not saying that she's immature. We're not agreeing with that. But
No.
yeah, guys, understand that there's an age difference. And if this is what you're complaining about, date women your own age.
Date women your own age, you
Date-
ding dong.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that's the most frustrating thing. I know someone who's also in an age gap relationship, and like they've said something about like their partner being like, you know, you're being immature, blah blah blah, and I'm like, if
Yeah.
we were to do some critical thinking,
Right.
why do we think that?
Yeah, because they're bringing up those excuses. It's the kind of thing where they just are bringing things in to try to insult in this conversation. And if these are the first things that they can grab at to try to insult, then they know that the age gap is unreasonable and that they have some sort of authority over this person just because they're older. Yeah. His mom, yes, his actual mother, messaged me saying that she's disappointed and that Jake has always been the kind of guy who lifts women up. I just
What?
want to be clear. I do try.
Put him down.
Yeah, put me down.
Put him down.
I don't. What? Every day is hard with these conditions. I work, I cook when I can, I handle my appointments, I advocate for myself in medical systems that constantly brush me off. I don't think I need to be raised by a man who thinks being 6 years older makes him my life coach. So, great people of Reddit, am I the a-hole for calling my boyfriend a discount dad after months of being treated like a project instead of a person?
You're the a-hole for staying with him if you stay with him.
Yeah, there is an update.
Oh boy.
So, hey, I didn't expect the post to get that kind of attention that it did. I watched it go from about 200 upvotes down to 1, and honestly, I'm still not sure why, but I really want to thank everyone who commented or messaged me privately. I read everything. I'm slowly replying when I have the energy. You all have given me such great insight. Some of it really hit, and stuff that I hadn't even thought about until now. Just thank you. It means a lot. I wasn't planning to update this soon, but things have gotten way worse within the last 3 hours, and I feel like I needed to talk about it, especially after what just happened. So I've been really sick the last few days, like properly sick. I was diagnosed with a bone sinus infection, and it's knocked me flat. I've had constant fevers, stabbing pain in my face and head, and nausea, dizziness. I can't keep much food down. And on top of that, my POTS symptoms have been way worse than usual. I've mostly just been in bed, barely functioning, but trying to rest and just not pass out. Because of all that, I had to call in sick to work these last 2 days. I work with food, and there was just no way I could safely be around customers or food prep like this. I can barely even stand upright. It didn't feel like I had a choice. This afternoon, I got a call from work telling me that I was fired.
Whoa.
No warnings or anything, just said that they needed someone to be more, quote, reliable, and that they can't keep me on if I can't show up.
Well, I feel like you can do some sort of like, is it ADA? Like
What does that stand for?
accommodations for like, it's like for
Disability.
disability. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like they can't just fire you for having a disability. They have to
Yeah.
accommodate.
Oh, yeah, that would be
Yeah, you might
something
be
worth
able to.
looking into.
I mean, if you'd had communicated to them, like, you know, that you had a disability
Yeah.
and that you had you needed these accommodations and they still fired you without talking to you.
Yeah. That's a
You
problem.
might be able to file, a thing against them.
That could be worth looking into. I get it, I guess, but it still crushed me. I've always tried to show up. I've never taken advantage of sick days or anything. It felt like everything hit at once. I've only taken about 4 sick days in the entire 2 years I've worked for this company. Jake came over not long after. I told him what happened. Told him I lost my job, that I'm sick, that I might need to go to the hospital because I'm starting to feel seriously not okay. And his response was basically, well, maybe if you took better care of yourself, this wouldn't happen.
Maybe if you shut your mouth, my fist wouldn't have hit it.
There you go.
Did we think about that?
Then he said something like, you still could have gone in. People push through being sick all the time. I tried to explain that it's not like it's a cold. This is a bone infection. I literally couldn't walk from the bed to the kitchen earlier without fainting. And I work with food. He just kept brushing it off like I was being dramatic. He told me I'm always sick and I never fight through it.
'Cause she has a chronic illness. What do you not get? Isn't a sickness that goes away. It's chronic. Do you know what the word chronic means?
Apparently not. She never fights through it. I will.
I'll fight you
Yeah.
right now.
We'll all come on over. We're gonna fight you.
We'll fight you.
Gosh, man.
Golly.
That turned into a full-blown fight. Not surprised. He started yelling, full volume screaming, pacing the room while I was just sitting there crying and asking him to stop. I was already feeling like absolute crap and I couldn't even get a word in without him talking over me. And you never have to feel like crap because we always have more full episodes of stories just like this one on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime.
Do it.
Get on over there. You can try to talk. We might talk over you, but that's just because we can't
We'll
hear
probably
you.
be talking over you.
Our bad, guys.
Sorry.
There is a little bit more to the story. I want to fight this man. I want to physically
wanna
fight this
him.
man.
Girl, my advice to you, you are 18.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to feel hard, but you're going to find someone so much better.
Yes.
And maybe when you're 24, you'll find a 28-year-old. And then you can have your age gap. But
There you go.
right now, well, actually, when you turn 24, look back and ask yourself, would
Yeah.
you date an 18-year-old? Because I
Good
certainly
question.
wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't date an
A
18-year-old.
lot of people wouldn't because
There's really no
there's-
difference between an 18 and a 17-year-old.
Nope, not at
Just
all.
law.
Just
Just
law.
the law.
Yep. I broke up with him.
Yay!
Then and there. Good. I told him to get out and that I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care how sick I am or how hard things get from here. I'd rather be completely alone than sit here sobbing while the person who's supposed to care about me screams at me for being unwell. Right now, I'm still in bed. Fever's high, heart rate's not great, and honestly, I think I'm going to the hospital soon. Something feels off in my body and I don't want to wait until it's too late. With POTS and now this infection, it feels like everything is just piling on top of me. I'm genuinely scared, and not just emotionally, but physically. My body feels like it's breaking down. I'm tired of begging someone to believe me when I say I'm in pain. I'm tired of being talked down to, managed, lectured, and guilt-tripped when I literally need help. I didn't ask to be sick. I didn't ask for endo or POTS or a sinus infection that knocked me flat. I've done everything I can to keep pushing through, but it was never enough for him. But it's over. I'm scared and sick and jobless, but I'm also finally out, and that has to mean something. If you've made it this far, thank you again. Your comments gave me the courage to stop waiting for someone else to change and finally start choosing myself.
Good job.
What a
OP.
nice
Good job.
conclusion to that relationship. But that's the end of that story.
My husband doesn't understand the difference between stay-at-home mom and work from home.
Well, that's concerning.
We have been together for 8 years, married for 5, and our daughter was very planned. I, 28 female, have never made a ton of money, but I've always made enough and felt like my work was worthwhile. I work as a graphic designer for an alternative publication, not the highest paying gig in my field, but a good work atmosphere. I also used to freelance web design before we recently had the baby, but it's been too busy since I got pregnant to do much freelance work. I can do both old school graphic design and web design and have a good portfolio. By the way, this comes from JG78, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I was very lucky. When we got pregnant, I was considering different work options to stay with a baby, and my boss basically said, keep your same job, same pay, and work from home if you want, plus 3 months paid maternity leave. My paper also gives us pretty awesome healthcare. The baby is on my healthcare, not my husband's, because his is mediocre, but mine is like basically the best. Almost no copays. Everything you can imagine is covered down to acupuncture and hypnosis even. So that was a plus. I also never wanted to stop working entirely because I value my independence and my job is also a creative outlet for me. My husband, 36 male, makes a lot more than I do. Always has since I've known him, as he was already in his firm when we met and just made partner at his firm around the same time we found out we were pregnant. He has always worked long hours, but actually has been able to work a little less since making partner. He's down to 55 a week. Been as high as 80 before when we met, but it's kind of steadily declined. His job is high stress, big law basically, but he does really, really enjoy it from what he says. We had our baby girl 4 months ago, and she's adorable and awesome. We're very happy, except I've been working properly just this month. I did wind up doing a tiny bit of work on my 3 months off, as there were some pinches. My boss was in with the team, and I pitched in. No pressure to do so, but I heard about them since my workmates are also my friends, and I offered to pitch in a few times. It has been harder than I thought, mainly because I'm basically doing 2 jobs at once. I figure you can imagine it'd be harder than normally working. Also have a baby that needs stuff. Our baby is actually a really good baby, and she isn't the neediest or at the neediest age, but which worries me for the future. But it's still harder to maintain focus, etc. Our house is an effing wreck. And my sister suggested I look into a maid service since we are really struggling since the baby has come. I used to do the majority of the chores, but my husband helped out when I was very pregnant and couldn't get around well. He basically stopped again when the baby was born. Since I used to get home before him and leave after him, his long days, I used to do basically everything but the dishes. We always ate out our fair amount. I cook half the nights, takeaway or restaurant half the night. But we live under our means in most areas, so that was never considered a big expense. I'm not the world's greatest cook. The bathrooms, counters, laundry, etc. all fall to me, but it was a lot easier before the baby. My normally nice, calm, loving husband flipped out and got very stubborn when I approached him with maid service. They'd come 1 time a week and it'd be $75 weekly. But if we bought by the month, $250 per month reduced option. He said basically, why would a stay-at-home mom need a maid service? I tried to point out, I'm still working. I'm a work from home mom, not a stay-at-home mom. But he said it should be easier to do my work at home than in office, so he didn't see what had changed. Maybe when our daughter was making messes, but he thought getting a maid service would just discourage me from getting into the swing of things again. He's like, if I let you have the maid service, then you won't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Did you think about that?
Yeah, that's always a great vibe to have with your spouse. Bootstrap energy.
He even suggested it put me at risk for PPD, which I don't have any symptoms of, thank goodness. So I thought maybe he was really stressed when we first talked about it, and it was just bad timing. I tried 2 more times, and he seems to toe the same line. I suggested he start picking up more chores then, and he doesn't see why things would change. We had a baby. Things change. I don't really understand him not getting that. We talked about some changes, but never a maid or the chores, so I guess this is poor planning. It's worth noting my husband is understanding of the mess and not complaining about it. He sees it as a temporary adjustment period. My husband spends time with his daughter and is bonding with her, I think, and he does give me some me time regularly, which I appreciate. We're still breastfeeding now, so I'm tethered to the house or baby a lot, but he is being very engaged and active dad when he's home, and he is trying to be home as much as he can. My husband didn't yell. He did become frustrated and unreasonable, but he's never rude or harmful. He just doesn't understand my reasoning or need here. We have the money. We live well below our means, and we won't be traveling this year. We usually do. And the baby won't cost nearly as much as our trips usually cost. So we have extra money in addition this year. The delivery cost us literally nothing as my health insurance is that good. This is rare, I think, from what I've heard. And I lost no income except a little less freelance work, which we always treated as extra anyway. I'm worried about two things. One, the messy house in the short term and finding a solution. But two, the fact that my husband doesn't see a need for things to change due to a baby and doesn't seem to realize how hard it is to do my work all day and be a mom all day just because I can do it in my pajamas. Trying to figure out when I can get a shower if I want one before my husband gets home at 7, or if I don't get up early enough before he leaves at 7 a.m. is like solving an effing Rubik's Cube. My days are much, much harder now. I love my baby and I'm happy to be with her. I'm just saying. I feel like he has no concept. And there is an update. I wanted to post a quick update and say thank you to those who gave helpful comments. I'm still not sure why so many messages that I'm stealing from my employer or misraising my child because I'm working from home while she's there. My employer is well aware and fine with whatever I do as long as I make meetings 1 to 2 times a week via Skype and meet deadlines and so forth. And I thought the post in the last one showed that. It did. I feel like you just have a lot of like Americans in the comments who are like, you have to work if you're not working in all hours.
The unfortunate truth is that the vast majority of internet comments are not useful.
I utilized a combination of the good ideas I got. I did make a log of just 3 days, since I didn't talk to my husband until the weekend anyway. Busy week for him. And I left him alone with the baby Saturday, pumped and went to my sister's. I had to come back after a few hours because she got a fever, very low grade, but we went to the clinic together just in case because she's a baby. Everything's fine. So timing sucks. I'm never leaving again, JK. Everything's fine, and I know my being at my sister's didn't cause her fever. I also just talked to my husband with more emotion about the state of the house and how I felt and had him read the linked text someone put up about men and women and chores. He basically did a complete 180 and said I should get as much housekeeping as I need, that he was sorry. Apparently, he thought I liked chores all this time. I do say things like expressing satisfaction or anticipating how awesome it's going to be in the end when I've reorganized something or done some big chores or I'm planning to, but it's because A, I like things clean. B, I find it encourages me to do these not fun things and make them tolerable. My husband doesn't understand this at all and took it as though I actually enjoy the chores themselves. By the way, you can enjoy more episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story.
I think clear communication. I'm going with Nicole H. commented it. Is this just a case of a really smart guy being really, really dumb?
I think maybe.
I think it might be.
Yeah, if he had that complete 180 and was like, "Oh, I thought you liked chores.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can get a cleaner.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you
Yeah.
liked it, and then when you said that you didn't want to do it anymore, I got worried because I was like, oh no, she's losing her passion.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh,
oh, no. Is that
no.
a postpartum depression thing? But also, like,
sorry.
kind of tisk on you for not understanding that, like,
Yeah,
working from home is still working.
yeah.
And, like, it means that, yeah, I don't know. There's just, I still suspect there's some influence underneath that coming from
Potentially.
somewhere.
Potentially.
I guess we got there.
There's a little bit more. He basically thought I was giving up a hobby. I explained in the last post my husband is a semi-reformed slob, and he basically doesn't understand that even people who keep their houses in the very clean, spotless range don't necessarily enjoy the chores. So he was worried it was a sign of some kind of depression or something that I wanted to hand this off. And he also just didn't think the house was that messy, that it was anything to worry about since we didn't have like mold or bugs. Again, semi-reformed slob. Concerning.
And yeah, since we don't have the end result of like a horrific mess.
Concerning. He's like, it's not a biohazard, so it's fine.
I'll clean it up when it needs to be cleaned up.
He actually apologized for leaving so much of the housework on me for so long, but he worked so many hours. I never minded, to be clear, due to such misunderstandings, and made me promise to express if he's doing so again in the future. And he's even done smaller things to be neater lately. So we're getting a maid service, and hopefully my life will be a little bit easier. It was also nice to hear that he understood I wasn't staying at home, and that any hours I was saving from work were being easily sponged up by our little girl. And folks, that's the end of that story. There you go. I feel like they fixed it.
And you know what? It's crazy that what fixed it was just being like, clearly
There.
communicating with one another.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy that once you got like really to the
core of
meat,
it.
the meat of how you were really thinking and feeling, and you expressed that
Freaking
things got better.
wild. Freaking wild.
Crazy.
My son threatened to cut me off because I refused to babysit.
That's a terrible reason.
I, 44 female, have 3 kids. The eldest, 25 male, is married and has a 1-year-old. He and his spouse have professional jobs and live about an hour and a half away in perfect traffic. Additionally, I have an 18 male and 14 male son still at home. Youngest homeschools and is autistic and ADHD. I work at home providing remote services and have a professional undergrad degree in social work. I am the primary support for my own aging parent in terms of appointment transport and such. By the way, this comes from Dismal Inventable 240, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, my parent lives nearly 45 minutes away in the opposite direction of my married adult child, and my parents' specialists are roughly an hour and 20 minutes from his house. My spouse works a job that requires a significant amount of travel out of state for weeks at a time, engineering projects and factories for system changes. I had the same student client for 4 years. I provide communication accessibility services for people receiving educational instruction. Think closed captioning for classrooms in real time. When my eldest was an undergrad, he lived with my parent the last half of his study years. By the time he started his graduate studies, he had gotten an apartment he had shared with a friend. He came to me with a spreadsheet and we discussed how much I could support his expenses when it came time for clinical hours, which impeded his ability to find a work and study balance. So we had maintained covering things like his cell phone bill, car insurance, medical insurance, plus a set amount per month for groceries and gas. When my eldest and his significant other found out that they were pregnant, we were supportive, purchased things to help them out, etc. We contributed to wedding expenses in the form of purchasing and prepping all table decor for the reception, etc. Her family also contributed. That was all fine and good. I've been thankful we've been able to assist in these ways. I've taken care of the grandbaby for a few hours here and there and a few days at a time here and there. I've found that the extended stays at this particular time in my life, with other responsibilities considered, have been more than I'm prepared to handle. I'm worn out and it takes me a few days to recover afterwards. I realize my age isn't old, but I had cancer 10 years ago and I haven't been the same since all that. Then I busted a rib and had a partially collapsed lung I had to recover from. Coincidentally, my parent ended up with the same injury a year later. Dang. Basically, I'm tired, y'all. My middle is nearly flying the coop. My youngest is just 3.5 years from 18. He might choose to stay home, but he's capable of meeting his basic daily needs and likely could live independently if he chooses. I made my choices throughout the years, and I did my best for my kids and have been able to navigate those challenging accountability talks with the boys about my shortcomings. But at this point, I'm looking forward to some time with my husband on the road in a few years. I have professional aspirations that I've left on the back burner for years while prioritizing trying to meet the needs of my kids and trying to give them steady and stable and solid foundations. But for the last year, this eldest and his spouse kept asking me to quit work to provide full-time childcare for them because, quote, daycare is expensive. Neither of them want to be a stay-at-home parent or part-time employee. That eldest says, but I want to get my student loans paid off. To which I try not to be too cheeky when I giggle and say, felt, still paying my own off. I didn't finish my undergrad till 2016, then was diagnosed with a big C 3 months later. So then we had those medical expenses. It's like, yeah, well, I had student loans when I was having you. I could basically contribute to paying for your student loans when you're having a kid too.
The thing is that, like, I really think people just don't think through having kids.
Yeah.
And you gotta realize kids are incredibly expensive.
Incredibly expensive.
Incredibly expensive. And
Yeah.
you're gonna have to, do things that you don't necessarily want to do. Like,
Right.
pay for expensive daycare, or
Yeah.
maybe one of the, parents stays at home. You gotta
Yeah.
do things that you didn't want to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I mean, I get it. Might have been a mistake, but you still have those responsibilities.
You decided to take the child.
Yeah,
You
you-
decided not to give up the child. You
Yeah.
decided, to have the child.
If you don't
which
want to,
is
like,
absolutely like that. If that's the decision you want to make, then yeah, absolutely, it's fine.
Sure. But like, if you don't want to make the sacrifices that you need to, you can't expect someone else to. Like, come on. Again and again, I've told them that I do not intend to provide full-time care. And again, I point out the logistical nightmare I think it would be. Nobody needs to be commuting 3 hours round trip morning and night, and I'm not prepared mentally or physically to have a grandkid dependent on me for care for several days a week. Mama is tired. Granny is tired. Tired in the way of I provided a lot of care to my own younger siblings, then other people's kids, then raised my own kids. Almost done. Tonight, once again, I was asked. I finally just said directly, I love this grandbaby and I don't mind the occasional few hours or occasional overnight. But I've been raising babies most of my life and I'm not equipped for what you're asking of me. I feel like my son and his spouse are going to have to navigate their choices and their future and their family dynamics without depending so heavily on me as their answer to not wanting to spend the money on childcare and not putting in the effort to find a backup for sick days and when the daycare is closed for breaks. There have been several points where comments have left me feeling like my son feels entitled and like he has taken for granted the supports he already has. I can provide examples, but I've already written a novel, so am I the a-hole? And there are some comments. Comment number 1 says, your son sounds incredibly selfish and entitled. Asking you to drive 3+ hours a day to provide free childcare when you still have kids at home and debt? It's cruel. Someone responds, not the a-hole, that drive is an unreasonable request. Add to that your gas expenses. Was your son planning to cover that? And the mental and physical strain on you and time away from your other responsibilities. And I feel your son has leapt beyond unreasonable straight to delusional. They are adults and can work this out on their own. Comment number 2 says, part of learning to adult is figuring out your own problems without running to mommy and daddy whenever it gets a little hard. No is a complete sentence. Just keep saying no. Sooner or later, the penny will drop that no really does mean no. If they have to pay for childcare, well, boo-hoo. So do a lot of other folks. Someone has to be a stay-at-home parent. Lots of people do that too, and take the financial hit that goes with being a single-income family. You have provided great support over the years, and I feel that the eldest son is taking all of that for granted with the latest request/demand. Again, no is a complete sentence. Rinse and repeat as often as needed. Comment number 3 says, couples that can't afford kids shouldn't have them. Let them apply for government benefits or maybe discover how cheap wiener wrappers are. Hope your response to that. The punter is they do bring in enough. He just doesn't want to spend it on childcare.
Sorry.
That's crazy. Wait, that's actually so much
they have
crazier.
the money.
It's just like, but like buying like food for my kid is just really expensive. So can you cook for him?
expensive.
Can you cook for him? Can you like grow
and we
food?
were thinking about like, I don't know, going to like Fiji this summer.
Yeah, it's like I just really, really don't want to budget that in. Want to cut that off.
Yeah.
Come
thank
on,
you.
man. Which definitely leaves me with a yuck. I have contrary feelings I don't share with them on that. There is an update. That grown child of mine and his wife moved into their new place. I haven't seen them since they moved. They've been hosting game nights and such for their friends, and they work and all that. Basically, they have lives to live, and that's all well and good, and I assumed that's why I hadn't really seen them. Remember, they're now 1.5 hours from where I live. I messaged and invited them to come visit and let them know I had dinner cooking, all day cooking meal, not like done in an hour timeline. Normal enough. Figured they might have plans, but didn't hurt to invite them. It's the last weekend of summer break for my other two. Adult offspring replies short and curt. I reply asking if I'm missing something. He replies, they would like for me to make more effort. I'm sorry, what? Did you find audacity on clearance? That's so funny. Those of you who said my adult child seems like an entitled, those of you who said my adult child seems entitled, you've got a point. In the messages that followed, I was reprimanded for my lack of remorse for not providing childcare that they've convinced themselves I had promised. Also, it seems that their friend housewarming party they mentioned to me was meant to have been an explicit invitation, which I, quote, should have known and put forth the effort to come. What?
Their
but if it's
friend's housewarming party?
I think like their housewarming party that she thought only friends were invited to.
Oh.
But if they said that it, quote, was an explicit invitation, then no, if you didn't get the invite.
I think what happened is that they had mentioned offhand, yeah, we are having this housewarming party.
And that was supposed to be like,
yeah, like that was the invite.
Oh my gosh, that is so annoying. But oh wait, it gets better. Never mind that following week, after the friend gathering I didn't go to because as a nearly 50-year-old hanging out with 20-somethings playing games and drinking wasn't where I thought I belonged, I called and offered some furniture we were getting replaced that they had expressed interest in numerous times. They accepted the offer. I attempted to plan a time that I could bring it up with the middle kiddo, but his schedule and the grown one's schedule and my schedule and the weather weren't in alignment at all. So that got tabled, and the middle kid and one of the eldest's friends handled it a week later when they were going up for a gaming night anyway. So now oldest is also saying that I made them feel abandoned while we were on the family vacation. Huh? I think I mentioned before that I took my father, my sibling, and nephew, all three of my boys, their sweethearts, and grandson on a 2-week trip. It was planned for a year. My husband and I covered all meals out together, the house rental, the car rental for the eldest and his wife, because they decided to fly instead of drive 24 hours. The rest of us did the long drive, except my sibling who lives 3 hours from where we went, etc. I told the eldest that they'd have to purchase their own plane tickets, but I handled the rest, birthday, Christmas, and etc., gift planned, and discussed in advance with everyone. They decided to shorten their time. Then his bio dad planned something, and they decided to go spend time with his bio dad's family in a different location. That's fine and good. But my son and his wife and the grandboy leave to go to the airport. My dad, husband, my sister, and I are sitting outside 2 hours later. I'm enjoying an adult beverage, something I rarely do, but my sister and I were enjoying solving the world's problems and catching up as we hadn't seen each other in a few years. I get a call from daughter-in-law. Flight delays will cause them to miss connecting flight. Can we come get them? I suggest that they should get a hotel room near the airport. The eldest gets online and says that the hotels are sold out. I tell him we aren't in condition to be driving. I'll tell him, or I'll call back in a second. I look up hotels, call the first one, reserve a room for them. Nice king suite. Some of you will understand why I'm making this point. And I call the son back. Send him the hotel info. Tell him I've paid for it. He can use my account for his Uber for the hotel 1.2 miles from the airport in Vermont. Y'all, not like we're talking DTW. And then he says, you couldn't stay sober. My dude, you're 26, married, professional jobs, and you did what millions of Americans have done and millions more will do. Stay at a hotel near the airport when you gotta change the flight schedule. But mom paid. Also, his wife thinks it's weird we don't party and don't serve booze at holidays. There's a lot of daily beveraging in their own family and in the cultural background she's from. But suddenly, I have a drinking problem for having a cold beverage at 6 p.m. on vacation. My husband laughed so hard about this. Yeah, your one drink every 2 months is really getting out of hand. You might need help. Fast forward to tonight. I've been informed I, quote, made him feel like an inconvenience. And he hopes that he always remembers
you
parenting
are an inconvenience. You're
What?
inconveniencing me because you're annoying.
Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, it is an inconvenience because you couldn't do it yourself.
Yeah, man.
But I did it, and I'm not the one complaining.
OP hasn't said anything.
Yeah, literally.
I'm telling you that you're an inconvenience. Me.
That's crazy. He said he hopes he always remembers parenting is for life.
Dang, that's funny. That's funny coming from a guy who didn't even want to parent his, like, he wanted to make you
Literally.
parent his child.
Literally.
Wow. He's like, yeah, I can't believe you don't even want to like try and be a parent to me now. Huh?
That is so insane. Are you so for real right now? I finally took the kid gloves off and told him that parenting is for life, but he is a whole grown up and it is beyond time he comes to navigate adulthood. That he, like I and millions of parents, will manage the expenses of parenting, including childcare. That he knows our family would never leave someone starving. No one is going to go hungry. But I'm not setting myself on fire to keep him warm because he doesn't like $250 a week in childcare. And for those new to the story, no, they aren't financially hurting. Yes, they make enough to cover absolutely all their needs and many wants. By the way, I want you to go to your favorite podcast app, whether that's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you so choose, and search OK Storytime, because you're going to find full episodes with more stories just like this one. Get on over there.
Come on.
Get on over there. But there is a little bit more to this story. But this boy, this 26-year-old child, my goodness.
Has a whole child of his own and still acting like a baby.
How is a baby going to raise a baby?
You can't. Baby
can't.
can't raise a baby.
Baby can't raise a baby.
Gotta figure out how to be an adult before you raise a baby.
Mr. Baby.
Mr. Baby Man.
God, man.
Yeah, no, this is frustrating as a parent, I think, to like
Yeah.
still like have a child this frustrating.
Right. Right. Because it's like, I wonder as a parent how that really does feel. Because it's like, well, like,
This is
I
my
do
kid.
want to help you.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't seem like she's been babying him.
No.
It really just seems like he's just all of a sudden demanding.
I
for
feel like
more.
maybe influenced by his wife.
I was wondering that too. Like, I'm wondering if this is just kind of like, I wonder
How
if her
he
parents
is, yeah.
baby her, and now that he's with her, she's like, oh my gosh, like they don't do this for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they demand more. I don't know, man.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like she should be asking her parents for the free childcare.
Right? Where are they? He threatened to cut me off. I told him he would have to do what he saw fitting if he felt that I had fallen so short. He threw some jab at my example for cutting off my own mother, but it was just an attempt at getting a reaction from me because he knows well and good why I went no contact with her 6 years ago. She insulted my ASD son and eldest son as my final straw with her. The history of her was the abuse at almost every level for the entirety of my life, severe physical and verbal abuse, and the types of things that made me weep with identification while reading A Child Called It. Like, okay, dude, if you think that my shortcomings warrant no contact, then you'll just have to do what you see fit. And that is the end of that story.
My husband's ex-girlfriend reached out to me, confess about their affair.
Uh-oh. Sounds messy.
Since November, my husband has been working a lot, and overtime started to affect our marriage, especially since he had to skip most of Thanksgiving Day, Christmas, New Year's, and my birthday for work trips. Got worse in February. He missed Valentine's Day. Now, my husband has always been especially romantic.
Yeah, he was being romantic with someone else.
Even if we had a fight, he still put an effort in to prove how much he loves me. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Drylet 17. And if you were to submit your own stories, the r/OK Storytime subreddit. This year, we had an even bigger fight about him not being around as much because of his work. He didn't seem to care and went on another business trip for 4 days before Valentine's Day. I never got anything from him. We hardly talked when he went away this time. The kids were upset that their dad hadn't called them to talk to them. And at the end of the month, he called to let me know he was heading home in a couple of days and wanted us to go away for a few days to work on. Even though I was hesitant at first, I eventually agreed. While we were away, he agreed to cut down on his hours and go on fewer trips. We both agreed on counseling, which he started when he got back. It really did help us improve our marriage. I did bring up the fact that I had been cheated on in the past. My husband knows this, being I have also had a kid with my ex, and it was an occurring thought for me. My husband was asked during several sessions if he had been with other women, and every time he was consistent with his answer, no, I'm very happy with my wife, and I believed him. Just a couple of days ago, his ex reached out to me to tell me that my husband had been sleeping with her from December right to February, and now she was pregnant. But he had been ghosting her since she found out she was pregnant.
Ew.
That's why he's cutting down on the business trips. Apparently, she recently became a client of his, and he asked her to join him on his business trips to get some alone time. This devastated me, but I can't ask him yet because for the first time in months, he is on a short business trip again. This may sound rude, but in the past, for other reasons, I have gone into his work phone. I was going to check his work phone, considering he would not text her from his personal phone. But recently, he's made it a thing of leaving his work phone at his office. He has never left it at his office before, and he never takes it with him on trips. So I'm starting to get suspicious, considering how everything adds up. I've heard from some people that his ex could be lying. Several people from his workplace have told me he didn't want her as a client at first, and that even when no one else could take her on, he had very much kept everything professional. Close friends have also been telling me that for a couple of months, she was jumping into any bed to sleep with anyone. To me, I don't know who to believe. My husband's ex was never crazy or anything after they broke up, and practically didn't want to speak to him till recently. But at the same time, there should not be a reason for her to know when he was away on trips unless he told her. Some people think I'm being stupid for believing her, but considering what she has told me, this attitude, behavior, and consistent business trips are saying something else. We got an update. Finally sitting down to do this update. Everyday chores and the craziness of the start of the school year. Been hectic. I didn't mean to take so long to do an update. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for their feedback. Someone who works for my husband knew about the ex, saw this post, figured out it was me, and the day my husband came back town, he made a trip to the office first. His coworker told him what happened, so by the time my husband got home, he knew that I came on here to write my post. He was extremely angry, not with me, but with his ex. He pretty much sat me down the moment he got home and told me everything. A to Z. What he told me, since September of last year, my husband's boss did some major cut down on employees. The business had to start to lose massive amounts of money, so several people were let go. My husband had to pick up the slack for not only himself, but 3 others. Got to the point where he was working himself, he started getting depressed and had a I don't care anymore attitude. By the time the excessive work trip started, his boss was making him pile on several new clients onto his schedule that he could handle. From then, for a couple of months, he would see double the amount of clients during the day before heading back to his hotel room where he drank himself to sleep. This made him super angry at himself, and he was slowly starting to hate who he was and what he was becoming. When he had his ex as his client, he kept things blunt and would only talk business with her, and they only had 4 meetings, and even when he told me he was constantly tried to flirt with him, he always just ignored her and kept things professional.
But should he have told OP about that?
Because this is perceived as cheating, I would say.
That she was trying to flirt with him and he was just ignoring but not telling.
And also that he had an ex as a client and didn't tell her.
I don't know if it's cheating, but I do think it's very deceptive and dishonest and a breach of trust in a relationship.
When you say cheating is all those two?
I think I consider
breach of trust, accepting.
Yes, but I think that I think there's a third element of like you are romantically involved, either emotionally.
Oh, there's like a physical evidence.
Yeah, well, not necessarily emotional or physical. Whereas here, I think because he was like, no, I think it's just a breach of trust, which is still obviously bad. I just don't think they were cheating.
I think it's slight cheating. Like not like cheating, because I feel like when people cheat, it's like cheating, done. He also told me that she was never on his business trips with him. He doesn't know how she got his schedule, and he never told her, and that's supposed to be kept between himself and his boss anyways. He also offered that the next day I could go to work with him and collect his work phone, so I did everything that was kept professional. There's nothing to suggest anything was going on between them. He also told me he tried talking to his boss more than once about his ex being his client and being home with his family more. His boss gave him ultimatums to continue working or breach his contract and be sued.
That sucks. Wait, dude literally can't get out of this. That sucks.
By mid-January, he thought about just taking off because he couldn't deal with anything anymore. But thankfully, another coworker picked up on his behavior and referred him to a therapist, going on the first few appointments with him, but sat outside the door until he was done. My husband slowly made progress, and his therapist helped him work on himself before moving onto the topic of our family and me, which his therapist suggested a trip for both of us. He also didn't tell me any of this at the time because he didn't feel ready to admit how crappy he had been feeling. He thought keeping it bottled up was better. He also said he'd happily take a paternity test to prove his innocence.
Okay, I feel like he's telling the truth.
Whoa.
I feel like he's telling the truth.
That's kind of...
I think he's offered a lot of, like, he's offered the saying, like, let's go grab my work phone, let's talk to these people, let's get a paternity test. I feel like he's telling the truth.
His ex, on the other hand, even though I've texted her, told me again my husband gave her his schedule when he was away and asked for her text messages between them. She said she would send them to me. It's been a week and I haven't heard anything. I asked her for a paternity test and she agreed, but that has pretty much been ghosting me since. A lot of other people have asked her for evidence, but she continues to tell them she isn't making up anything, but won't prove anything else.
Pretty evident.
She continues to text my husband about meeting up, but their contract ended months ago, so there is no reason for her to still contact him. By the way, you can always be in contact with us. All you gotta do is go to your favorite freaking podcast platform, search up OK Storytelling on Apple, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, and you can always contact us listening to our stories.
Yeah, I don't trust this lady.
Wow.
She's got no proof. She's like, yeah, I'll send it to you. And then she never does.
I'll talk.
No action.
I'm actually starting to believe that when she found out she was pregnant, she thought she didn't know the father and had to make up a story to cover her butt. I feel stupid for actually letting her get to me. But at the same time, things weren't adding up for my husband. I don't know if she noticed this, took a chance, or if now she will start to act all crazy. Please remind me if I forgot to add up anything. Edit just to let people know he did let me see the bills from each of his therapist appointments, and his coworker is a woman that has a girlfriend at home. Plus, I also know that she is someone a lot of people can go to for help. Edit 2, some people think it's shady. My husband didn't tell me about the therapy, and like one person said, they would deal with their problems themselves. My husband has the same thought process. For him, yes, it's embarrassing to admit he's seeing a therapist. This, for me, isn't shading. It's just the way he is. As for his coworker telling him, I wouldn't be surprised he was giving him a heads up before I blindsided him with his ex contacting me.
And that's the end of that story, folks.
Wow.